be the story across the rest of this country. Opening day is certainly a holiday in Cincinnati. An opening week in the Queen City presented by Mitsubishi Motors. It all begins, of course, at 10:30 in the morning local time with the 91st annual Findlay Market Parade. George Grand, for the first time in 18 years, is riding in the parade and not here as part of the broadcast team, although he will drop by a little bit later. And a capacity crowd on hand at Great American Ballpark on an absolutely beautiful Monday afternoon, April the 5th in Cincinnati. And while he's not in the booth today, part of the parade, and now a thunderous ovation as George Grand will throw out the ceremonial opening pitch of this 2010 season. And guess who's behind the plate on the receiving end? The Grand Marshal of the Findlay Market Parade, the Hall of Famer Johnny Bench. Of course, George, a two-sport performer at USC, both in football and baseball, a strike on the inside corner to unofficially kick off this 2010 season. Well done indeed, George Grand. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball. Chris, we've been doing this in Cincinnati for 134 years. Baseball's oldest professional franchise. And I think players from other teams, those that come and join the Reds, maybe go play elsewhere, will tell you there's no opening day like it in all of baseball.
Well, it never gets old. It doesn't get old for the fans. Those fans that have been to opening day maybe 50, 60, 70 years in a row. I mean, it's amazing how many people plan their calendars around this day. This is not only the beginning of the baseball season, it's the beginning of the whole new springtime and summer. You know, gone are the 3 feet of snow that we had all winter long. Now you're ready for baseball. That's why it's such a festive day.
There's a lot of optimism about this Reds team here in 2010, and certainly you can look yourself in the mirror, and maybe, Chris, unlike past years where you were hoping and doing a lot of praying, there are legitimate reasons to be excited about this version of the Reds.
Well, this team's got a very nice combination of youth and experience. Some guys that the Reds have brought in, like Scott Rowland, Orlando Cabrera, Ramon Hernandez, to bring some experience and some leadership to this team, and the emerging talents of the young players that we've seen over the last few years, like Jay Bruce and Joey Votto coming to age, and Brandon Phillips has come to age and a legitimate superstar, and the young pitchers like Cueto and Homer Bailey, and down on the farm Aroldis Chapman. You can only name a few of them now, but the Reds have a bunch of them. There's more depth here than I've ever seen in my 18 years as a broadcaster, and that is one reason why there's so much
Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds. And all season long, all 145 Reds telecast on Fox Sports Ohio, presented in beautiful high definition, courtesy of H.H. Gregg. Weather today, let's check in with WKRC weatherman John Gum. John.
Well, Tom, you have been around opening days as long as I have. You know this type of weather is unusual to have. This could go down as one of the top 10 warmest opening days at all time. Temperatures here for the first pitch in the low to mid 70s across the area with a mix of sun and clouds. We'll see readings top out by the final out all the way close to 80 degrees today. Just a slight chance for a brief passing shower. Looking good out here. Let's send it back to Tom.
All right, John, great to have you with us. And here we go. We begin the 2010 baseball season. A swing and a miss by Skip Schumacher, and we're underway. Aaron Harang, 31 years young, out of San Diego, California, begins his 7th full season as a Red. A disappointing 6-14 last year after a disappointing 2008 season. In 06 and 07, Chris Welsh among the top pitchers in the National League.
You know, Tom, unless you really are a student of pitching, you may not see the difference in Aaron Harang, but you will see the difference in the way the hitters react. If he's on his game, you'll see a lot of foul balls straight back.
Just off the outside corner, says home plate umpire Mike Riley. It's 1-2 on Schumacher, who, of course, made the conversion from the outfield to the infield a season ago and had an outstanding year for the division champion Cardinals. Broken bat flare, and it's foul.
Well, you can tell already that Aaron Harang is throwing a lot harder than he did at the end of last season, even during the middle of the last season. A lot of people said, hey, maybe it was that extra inning affair a couple of years ago in San Diego that wore his arm out. I never really bought into that. What I think is Aaron Harang, little by little, changed his delivery to the point where he really was not using his legs to drive the ball to the plate. And now if you see him, he's got a much longer stride. He gets way out over his front leg, and he's closer to home plate when he releases the ball. That is a world of difference from a pitching perspective.
Gone swinging is Schumacher. Let's take a look at Tony La Russa's starting lineup. Schumacher to be followed by the shortstop Brendan Ryan, and then the amazing Albert Pujols, a 3-time most valuable player in the National League. Matt Holliday out in left field, Colby Rasmussen center, Ryan Ludwig in right. And a ladder third of Yadier Molina, the catcher, David Freese at third base, and their ace, Chris Carpenter, on the mound. Here's Brendan Ryan.
Well, Aaron Harang has pitched against these Cardinals quite a bit. Let's take a look at what he's done. New delivery, talked about that already a little bit. More power, better fastball, and crisper breaking ball. A couple of guys he hates to face on this lineup. One of them, Albert Pujols, who doesn't hate to face Albert Pujols, but he does, however, really own the number 4 hitter in this Cardinal lineup, Matt Holliday.
One and one to Brendan Ryan. One gone, just underway. Opening day on this April the 5th, 2010 in Cincinnati, and now it's 1-2.
You know, when you face the Cardinals, it is so important to not let those guys who set the table get on base in front of Albert Pujols. If you're going to give up a home run and Pujols is going to hit his share, make him be solo shots.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Harang. The Reds defensively outstanding a season ago. The opening day lineup has Lance Nix, Chris Dickerson, Jay Bruce in the outfield. Scott Rowland, Orlando Cabrera, the veterans on the left side. Phillips and Votto on the right. And a battery of Harang and Hernandez presented by Ford. Now Albert Pujols won his 3rd National League Most Valuable Player award a season ago. A unanimous selection in 2009. 47 home runs and 135 knocked in. And most people feel, and I think you and I would both agree, unquestionably the best player in the National League, if not in all of baseball.
I'm not so sure that there is a better player in all of baseball, or has been over the last 4 or 5 years, than Pujols.
2-0 breaking ball drops in near a strike.
And the addition of Matt Holliday, now the number 4 hitter in the Cardinals lineup, may not make Pujols a better hitter, but it will make pitchers think twice about just putting him on base, as he has done so many times in the last few years.
Foul away. 2-2 now on Albert Pujols. In each of his 9 seasons, has hit better than .310, knocked in over 100, hit more than 30 every year as a big league. High and deep into left center field. Dickerson at the track at the wall, and Pujols picks up where he left off last year. And St. Louis leads 1-0 here in the first inning.
Well, there's a 1-2 pitch. Aaron Harang ahead of the count for Albert Pujols. Wanted a fastball down and away. Got it up and away. Albert parks it. Our Exmo look at that swing by Albert Pujols. Boy, does he have a level swing, driving the bat through the zone. Big, strong legs and arms. You just can't make a mistake to the guy. He consistently reminds you why he is the best in the game.
Harang surrendered 24 home runs a season ago. And after striking out the first 2 in his first inning, Pujols gets him for the first surrendered in 2010.
You know, Tom, you can't stay with the same pitch sequence with every batter, but the first 2 batters, Harang got ahead 1 ball, 2 strikes, then threw a slider, struck them both out. Got ahead of Pujols, 1 ball, 2 strikes. That time threw a fastball, missed his spot. Vaya.
Soft liner to Cabrera, which will end the inning. But Pujols has the Cardinals off to a first inning lead, 1-0. State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling trucks 33 straight years. By Just for Men, for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili, you know it's Skyline time when you get that craving for a Skyline 3-way or cheese coney. 1-0 St. Louis on the Albert Pujols home run. As the Reds bat for the first time, and here's the lineup under manager Dusty Baker. Chris Dickerson going to lead things off, and we'll tell you who's to follow in just a moment. Dickerson getting a nod in center field against a right-hander, Chris Carpenter, a 17-game winner a season ago. Lost only 4 times. He's 34 years old and was signed back in 2003 when they knew he would miss the entire year with an arm injury. It's his 7th year on the active roster, 8th overall with St. Louis, and his 4th opening day start. Fouled away by Dickerson.
Chris Carpenter was a very regular pitcher when he was a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. Always had good stuff, but never had a breakout year. Never won more than 12 games in a single season until he came to St. Louis. In his first healthy year there, he went 15-5. And you have to give some of the credit to Dave Duncan and his system in preparing pitchers, getting them to re-understand what you're out there for, which is essentially get the hitters out. Duncan has a system where he really tries to pound the zone, down to the bottom of the zone, get lots of ground balls. They've got a good infield here, and that's his game.
Swing and a miss by Dickerson, and he's gone to begin the Reds' first inning. And here's how they'll stack him up thereafter. Orlando Cabrera is the shortstop batting second. Joey Votto hits third at first. Brandon Phillips, a cleanup hitter at second. The former Cardinal Scott Rolen at third, and Jay Bruce is in right. A ladder third of a left-handed batting Lance Nix, Ramon Hernandez, and Aaron Harang. Ball 1 to Orlando Cabrera.
Chris Carpenter's a guy with very good control, power sinker. He'll throw it in on the thumbs of those right-handers. Loves to face 3 of those right-handers in the lineup, and you saw right there. Does not like to face Chris Dickerson, but made an adjustment and got a punch out of the first batter he faced.
He then retires Cabrera on a ground ball to the second baseman Schumacher, and here comes Joey Votto with 2 down and nobody on. Despite the fact that Votto last year missed 31 games on the disabled list, of course trying to mentally battle through the sad and tragic death of his father at the end of the prior year, but was unquestionably the best player on the team last year for the Reds. .322 batter, 25 home runs, 84 knocked in. And when you combine the slugging percentage and the on-base percentage, only Albert Pujols and Prince Fielder were better than Joey Votto. Two and one. Tied him up on the inside, even to count at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, you can just see Carpenter's game plan along with Yadi Molina behind the plate. Pound the bottom of the strike zone. That last pitch, a hard cutter that came right at the back knee of Joey Votto.
2-2 on the way. Came back with the same pitch and missed off the inside edge, and the count goes full with Phillips waiting on deck.
You know, sinker balls are wonderful things, but especially when you combine a guy with the height of Chris Carpenter. He is 6 feet 6 inches tall, and when he uses that downward plane, boy, it is tough to get that ball elevated.
On the ground and into right field, a base hit for Votto. Take a look at the Cardinals defensively, presented by Ford. A full season as a Redbird for Matt Holliday. Obi Rasmus in center, Ryan Ludwig in right. On infield of the youngster Freese, Ryan, Schumacher, and Pujols on the right side with Carpenter and Molina the battery. Molina strained an oblique muscle late in the spring, and many wondered if he would be in the Cardinals opening day lineup. Well, here he is.
Has not played in the game since March the 24th.
Now Brandon Phillips. 20 home runs, 98 runs batted in. Breaking ball down and away, and he's behind 0-1. Phillips did not like that call by Mike Riley, and Carpenter jumps ahead 0-2.
Boy, he'll be tough to beat if he gets that pitch all day long.
1-2 to count on Phillips. A breaking ball off the outside corner. Phillips, of course, grew up in Stone Mountain, Georgia, just 28 years old, won't be 29 till nearly midway through this season. Had a 30-30 year in 07. Has had 3 straight 20-20 years in a Reds uniform. Still one of the best trades, really, in the history of the franchise. When all is said and done, the acquisition of Brandon Phillips when he came over from Cleveland for cash or a player to be named, which turned out to be right-handed pitcher Jeff Stevens back in June of 06.
I think this is what you want to see a little more out of Brandon Phillips this year, which is grinding out every at-bat. Not giving it a bat away early, swinging at a bad pitch. When he really wants to battle down and hunker down in there in that batter's box and really battle you, he can be among the toughest in the league.
And after falling behind 0-2, now the count full.
But there have been at times when you see Brandon, I can't say he's going through the motions, but he just doesn't have quite the intensity that you'd expect to see on a consistent basis, where you really grind it out. He's now in that grind out mode right now, and he's worked the count nice.
Votto starts, and we'll do it again. This Cardinal team enters the 2010 season with a reigning MVP. We talked about Pujols. And 2 pitchers, Drew Carpenter being one, and Adam Wainwright, who will start day after tomorrow. 2 pitchers have finished in the top 3 in the voting for the Cy Young Award. No major league team's been able to make those claims since the '91 Oakland Athletics. And no team in the National League since the '75 Dodgers. Here's a 3-2 again. Should in the inning on the ground to Schumacher, and it will. A hit, a man left. We've played one, where the Cardinals lead the Reds on opening day 1-0. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Leadoff hitters for the Reds last season, among the poorest in the entire National League, for that matter, in all of baseball. Now, this year, we figure to see Chris Dickerson and Drew Stubbs in that role. You look at the career numbers batting leadoff for Dickerson. The on-base percentage for Dickerson is pretty doggone good, and nothing wrong with the batting average. And, of course, when you're constructing a team, you hope those guys get on, so then the number 2 hitter can, at the very minimum, bunt them over or get a base hit with their kind of speed. Both Dickerson and Stubbs, you advance them first to third, and Cabrera did a pile of that last year.
This is being able to move the runner from first base to third base via a single. Orlando Cabrera last year did it 20 times. Boy, that is, getting that runner 90 feet from home is such an important thing. And, you know, the Reds have struggled at the top of the order. They hit plenty of home runs, and they have done so for the last decade, but they've not been able to set the table.
Second inning underway. Colby Rasmus in his second year Had a solid rookie season last year. 16 home runs, 52 knocked in. Albert Pujols, a 2-out first inning home run, the game's only tally thus far.
This is one of the guys very similar to what the outfield for the Reds have. The Cardinals are looking at a young guy in Colby Rasmus. He's only 23 years old. He struggled getting on base last year. He's a good fastball hitter, but you wonder what he's going to do here in his sophomore year. Very much like you wonder about Jay Bruce and Drew Stubbs, whether they're going to be able to adapt to Major League pitching once they've seen it.
Wanted the call on that 93-mile-per-hour fastball, but just off the outside edge, and the count is full. And a leadoff walk.
We'll take a look at our new feature called Fox Tracks this year. Taking a look at where that pitch is. That one obviously way out of the strike zone. We're going to give you all sorts of different statistics on it. How fast it was when it leaves the hand. How fast it is when it comes to the plate. The spin, the direction of the spin. How much it spins. All sorts of stuff that we're going to really delve into the technical part of pitching and watching that baseball.
Well, we have the Fox Tracks. We have the XMO during the home telecast this season at Great American Ballpark. And, of course, every game in high def. Thanks to our friends at H.H. Gregg. May the 4th, 1869. The first professional baseball team was born right here in Cincinnati as the Red Stockings beat their crosstown rivals, the Cincinnati Great Westerns. They scored 45 that day. Not a good start for the Great Westerns pitching staff. Ryan Ludwig looks at a fastball in. Harang did not have a good spring. Chris, you talked about that. You weren't all that concerned about it. You felt like his velocity was better than it's been in the last couple of seasons. He had a very good breaking ball at times. But certainly around Cincinnati, whether it be in the newspapers, whether it be on the talk shows, everybody around here is very concerned about Aaron Harang.
Well, as was evident by the crowds in Goodyear, not everybody around here was down there to watch him in person. I can tell you this breaking ball was good down there. What really hurt him down in Arizona was the long ball. And it hurt him last year, too. Aaron Harang last year gave up 24 home runs and only 26 starts. So that's one thing that has already hurt him today. Now, the vast majority of the home runs he gave up last year were like the one today, solo shot. Those usually don't come around to haunt you too much. But when you give up those 3-run Johnsons, those are the ones that really hurt you. And Aaron Harang did that quite a bit down in spring training.
Rasmus not known as a base stealer, but a 2-1 count. Will they start him? The answer is yes. And a ground ball to the left side. Rolling will play to first. One away.
You know, there are times when I think that's a great move to put the runner in motion. But when you have a guy like Ryan Ludwig, who's a big home run hitter, 22 home runs last year, nearly 100 runs batted in, you almost take the bat out of his hand because it kind of puts a hit and run on. And, you know, he had a very bad swing at that ball. It was a breaking ball that was down, maybe even out of the strike zone. And you're giving up an out to move that runner into scoring position, but you're down now to the number 7 spot in the order to do that with. That's different than trying to get a runner on second for Albert.
Cardinals had the 4th best hitting team in the National League a season ago with runners in scoring position at 265. Yadier Molina knocked in 54 runs. Breaking ball swung on and missed a strike.
Another question mark for as far as the Cardinals go right now, whether Yadier Molina coming back from one of those side injuries. You know, you pull your muscle around your rib cage. Those take a long time to heal, and you can re-injure yourself by doing something as simple as coughing or sneezing. And they're really not sure whether he's 100% yet or not.
Quickly 0-2 on Yadier Molina, considered the best defensively For a long time now behind the plate among all National League catchers. Many believe he's the best defender behind the plate in either league.
Well, you know, a lot of people like the way he has come on with the bat over the last few years. He has become one of the toughest, if not the toughest hitter to strike out in the National League. Only once every 15 times at bat last year.
Harang ahead of him 0-2 on a couple of breaking balls. Rasmus at second with one out. And now 1 ball and 2 strikes on Yadier Molina. Reds and the Cardinals are meeting for the 16th time on opening day, and the Reds are 8-7 in season openers against St. Louis. They last met in 1994 when Bob Tewksbury beat Jose Rijo. Votto had him played there, and will go to the bag for the second out, and Rasmus advances 90 feet. Of course, we've been wondering about the weather on opening day for quite some time. There were rumors we might have some showers, and I guess that's still a remote possibility, but certainly much to be grateful for on what has turned out to be a glorious Monday in Cincinnati. Temperatures in the mid-70s, knocking on the door at 80 degrees.
Situation right here for Aaron Harang. You've got the number 8 hitter up there, a young guy, 26-year-old David Freese, a third baseman. Had just a cup of coffee last year at 17 games, but they like him at third base. But if you're Aaron Harang, you really want to get him out right here. You've got the pitcher on deck. If you can get Freese out and you start the next inning leading off with the pitcher, that's a big thing, especially when you've got Pujols in the third spot. You go one more inning then if you can retire the next inning 1, 2, 3 without having to face Albert Pujols. And with the playing against the Cardinals, that is always on your mind.
Well, they said Freese went around there, so the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. And now it's 2-1. Freese originally a 9th-round draft choice by San Diego back in June of 2006. And then came over in the Jim Edmonds deal the following winter. Played in 17 games with a big club last year, and now Harang has fallen behind Freese 3-1. Dangerous pitch upcoming here.
Well, he was born not in the St. Louis area, but he went to school there, went to junior college there, and lives now in the St. Louis area, considered really a hometown boy. In fact, hometown and homegrown is the theme of this Cardinal club. 13 of them up from their own farm system.
Did he go? They appealed, and no. So a 2-out walk to Freese. Second of the inning, second of the game by Harang. And Carpenter will bat with 2 on and 2 out. So early on in this opening day game, this becomes an extremely important at bat for Aaron Harang.
You've got to get the pitcher out right here. Carpenter's no slouch at the plate. Did hit 175, but drove in 7 runs last year, including a homer.
Well, of course, the home run was here. In his final start of the year, he hit a grand slam and knocked in 6 runs in that October 1st win over the Reds.
I think he only pitched 5 innings in that ball game, too. They were saving him for the postseason start, kind of a tune-up for Chris Carpenter, and he got plenty loose in the batter's box.
The Cardinals were eliminated in the opening round last year by the Dodgers. 3-0. They were outscored 13-6. And of course, the Dodgers advancing into the NLCS, beaten by Philadelphia. Into center field, and Dickerson will track it down to end the inning. The Cardinals strand 2. Brady Sanchez of Cincinnati also keeping an eye on the no board out in left center field, which is more than reachable. And of course, should a Reds player hit one of those signs, Brady would win a beautiful new Tundra, which of course is on display again at Great American Ballpark in Straightaway Center. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Like that one out there in left center field.
That's hittable.
You better believe it. By this guy right here, in fact.
That only counts if a Reds player hits it, but the home run by Albert Pujols did not miss by all that much.
Five-time All-Star Scott Rolen. Once as a Philly in 2002, 4 times as a St. Louis Cardinal. 03, 04, 05, 06. Of course, a National League All-Star. As voted by his peers in 3 of those years at the end of the season. Began last year in Toronto, came over to the Reds, was promptly hit in the head by one-time teammate Jason Marquis, suffered a concussion. Came back to play in 40 games, and what a difference he made on this Reds club. Not only the way they played on the field, winning 27 of their final 40. Well, this kind of resume, a winner, a professional, it rubbed off on his teammates.
Now, that's why he's here. I mean, it's not what Scott Rolen will give you now at age 35 and 36. It's what he gives you also in the clubhouse. The leadership. He show the young guys how to prepare to win. Not just prepare to play a ball game, not prepare to put up your own numbers, but prepare to win. He's been on winning ball clubs, and I'll tell you, he's a no-nonsense professional player.
Cardinals lead 1-0. Rolen leads off the second inning and got jammed with a pitch. There's a fly ball into left center field where Holliday waits. 1 away. Well, of course, today is opening day, but day after tomorrow, we invite you to come to the ballpark for opening night. As the Reds will take on the Cardinals Wednesday. Off day tomorrow, and then they'll play Wednesday night. The first 20,000 fans receive a Reds fleecy, thanks to H.H. Gregg. Now, you may not need it today, although Chris is going to put it on and give you a look at it. It's a snuggly blanket that has sleeves on it. Take a look at that. Chris, you've never looked better. Thank you. For opening night tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Now, those things are sweet. I mean, sometimes they give away things, which, you know, I mean, you take it or leave it. But those things are nice.
They're warm. Soft. Cuddly. Come over here and give me a big hug, will you?
Here's Jay Bruce down a strike. Now, Wednesday night is again supposed to be very, very nice. Thursday is a day game. No television. There will be a game on the radio. And then over the weekend, temperatures are supposed to cool off a little bit. Not sure what's going on here. Whether the Reds asked for a baseball to be checked or whether Carpenter didn't like the ball he was given by the home plate umpire.
Well, don't tell me this is going to be a repeat of the game we saw last year when the Cardinals were in town. John Smoltz did not like any of the baseballs, the way they were rubbed up by the visiting clubhouse staff. I guess those are their home clubhouse staff. Those are the guys who are in charge of it. Arroyo didn't have a problem. John Smoltz couldn't throw a strike. Dave Duncan kind of blasted the Reds for the way they rubbed up the baseballs.
And accused Bronson Arroyo of cheating.
Yeah.
By putting the pine tar on his hat.
A little gamesmanship. Never heard anything. Sells newspapers.
Oh, and to the count on Jay Bruce, and it stays right there. Here's a 1-2 to Bruce. Hit hard, but right at the second baseman Schumacher in the first 2 balls. Carpenter has been as close to automatic since joining the Cardinals, really, as any pitcher in Major League Baseball. And among the greats in the history of a history-rich Cardinal franchise. He has the Cardinals' all-time best winning percentage. 68 victories against just 24 losses, and that's with pitchers a minimum of 100 games started. And overall in his Cardinal career, 87 and 39 in the games which he has started.
And for a lot of people who have followed the Cardinals, they feel that that was Walt Jocketty's best move, to get him on an injured year, bring him into St. Louis, rehab him, and see what they got.
That didn't last long. 1-2-3 as Nix grounds out to third. End of 2. Redbirds in front, 1-0. Ball.
The best part is, you get to start playing baseball again. You get to compete. You're going to face an ace, so you get to face the best in the world. And it's just fun playing baseball again.
Joey Votto has the only Reds hit through the front 2 against Chris Carpenter, and look who stopped by the broadcast booth.
Mark Wagner.
I know that voice.
Well, everybody recognizes that voice. George Grant, welcome back, buddy.
Great to be back, Tommy. Great to be back, buddy.
How was the parade today, George?
Oh, it was fantastic. Chris, you remember when you and I went through it years ago, and the weather was perfect, number one. The fans were unbelievable downtown. It was just amazing. It was beautiful. It was best parade that we've had here in a long time, and the weather certainly cooperated.
On the ground by Schumacher to Votto, the 91st Findlay Market Parade. George, we had pictures of you earlier. You're looking
neat.
Good, buddy. You're looking good.
It was fun. Fans were great. It was pretty amazing.
Were you nervous here, first pitch?
Well, I tell you, Johnny Bench said to me, he said, look, I can't bend down. I can't move to my left. I can't move to my right. So just don't make me move. So, Mike, as you always said, Chris, when Robin Roberts told you, pick your best pitch and take a little bit off, that's what I did.
Pretty good follow-through right there. George is a former college player at USC. I don't know how the heck Coach Dado didn't put you ahead of Tom Seaver out there. You got a pretty doggone good delivery.
I talked to Billy Hatcher about throwing a knuckleball. He said if you threw that bench, it'd kill you.
Of course, Johnny just had, he just had hip replacement surgery.
He's doing great.
Yeah.
The hip feels tremendous. He looks great. He's moving great. It's tremendous. It's an honor to throw out the first pitch. It's an honor to throw it out to a Hall of Famer like JB, too.
George, wherever we went this winter, whether it be at Reds Fest, whether it be on the Reds Caravan, whether it was out in spring training, and I know you had a chance, most of those places, to at least stop in, say hello, but, so many people wondering how you're doing and what you're doing. Talk a little bit about what it is you're up to these days.
As you guys know, I'll do some fill-in here. Bob Castellini and Tom Farmer, Doug Johnson have asked me to fill in some games when you got to clean your pool or something, Chris, or Tommy's got to go on vacation.
I thought you were cleaning the pool. That's what I'm going to miss.
I'll do some games with Major League Baseball TV, and I'll continue to do work with the Hall of Fame and USA Baseball, and some bits and pieces. But I'm looking forward to spend a little more time at home. I got pictures of the baby, so
Great.
You guys will see. Jamie just had her first baby. Jeff gets married next month, so Joanne and I are looking forward to spend a little more time closer to home.
So what's it like being a granddad?
It's the best. It's the best. And you guys can appreciate it. We got a call last Sunday night when the torrential rains hit in Boston from our daughter, and she said, "Pop, what do I do? We got water in the basement." And if I've been in spring training, and nothing I can do. But we got in the car, drove up there with the pumps, and we saved the furnace, we saved the hot water heater, and that was worth it right there, let me tell you.
Pulled foul out of play off the bat of Brendan Ryan.
What a day. What a sight. What a sound. I mean, this is amazing. What a outstanding way to start the season.
Well, George, of all the years that we did opening day here, 17 of them in a row, and we've never had a day with the kind of weather that it is. I mean, we've had days in which you've had 4 seasons in one.
Yep.
Many rainy days, cold, blistering wind. This is about like late May.
Doesn't get much better than this, man. I tell you, walking around at the parade and walking around the park, there's a buzz, there's a feel. There's a feeling of optimism that hopefully will continue not just through opening day, but right on through. And hopefully we'll start the year with a parade and end the year with a parade in Cincinnati.
On the 20th anniversary, of course, of the last team to do that in Cincinnati in 1990, that team going wire to wire under then manager Lou Piniella. Pretty good battle here. Ryan barely making contact, but hanging in there, still at 3-2, trying to get on base for the guy waiting in the on-deck circle.
Well, George, it's not like you're sitting around doing nothing. You all winter long, you did work with the Major League Baseball and the rookies during the winter. You're going to do the Hall of Fame again this summer.
Yeah, and I tell you, the work I do with USA Baseball, we've had an eye on Chapman with our national teams playing against Cuba for the last 4 years. So they know about Chapman. And, I did some homework talking to our coaches and our people, Paul Seiler at USA Baseball, and we've been very impressed by him as an amateur, and I think Reds fans are going to be impressed by him, by Mike Leake, by Travis Wood, not just the guys you have on the roster here, but I think you've got legitimate contributors that might help during the course of the year.
Well, the battle continues between Harang and Brendan Ryan. This guy just won't go away. Of course, George, you had a chance to call Cardinals games before you came into to Cincinnati 18 now years ago. And I saw you visiting with Tony La Russa. You two have been buddies for a long time down before the game.
Great deal of respect. And the two best baseball towns in America remain St. Louis and Cincinnati. And Tony has a great deal of respect for Walt Jocketty, of course, so he knows what's happening here. And he knows he's in for a fight. I mean, you got Pujols, you got Holiday.
In the air and foul ground, and the 12th pitch of the at-bat. Harang finally is able to take care of Brendan Ryan for out number 2.
And I think we talk about pitching when you start a rotation with Carpenter and Wainwright. Tony knows that he's got a pretty good linchpin to start his rotation with, and that'll be the key. That'll be the key, whether the Reds or the Cardinals or the Cubs or whoever wins in September, who ends up with the best pitching.
Of course, we will see the Cubs over the weekend. They come in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they're beginning the year without really the guy who's been their best pitcher for the last 3 years, in Ted Lilly. Now, he'll be back in a couple of weeks from now, but he will not pitch over the weekend.
Get him early. And again, same thing with them. If Zambrano's healthy, then they're formidable. If not, then that whole rotation looks different. And then there's this guy.
Well, you're not lying. The only run of the game on a 2-2 pitch. Pujols hammered one beyond the Reds bullpen in deep left center field. Hit 47 to lead the league in 2009. George, all the years you've watched baseball, and you've seen some of the all-time greats. Can you say any one of them were better than this guy?
What he does on the field, what he does off the field, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, the things that he does for his teammates, the things that he does in the city of St. Louis, and the things that he does for the game of baseball, he's a first-class person, not just a great
Absolutely. Well, when the Reds get it done with an RBI this season, that means another $25 from Shakely for the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. Albert Pujols with a home run in the St. Louis first inning, the only Cardinals hit, producing the game's only run. So the Reds come to bat against Chris Carpenter here in the third inning. 8, 9, and 1 in the batting order. Hernandez, Harang, and then back to Chris Dickerson. The only Reds hit a 2-out single in the first by Joey Votto, who had a single into right field.
Chris, you see a difference? I mean, having the pitch out in Arizona where the air is lighter, is it tougher on the pitchers to make that transition from there to here?
I don't know about the transition. I think that they're very happy to be back where there's a little bit of humidity in the air, because out there, very difficult to get a good grip on the ball, to get the ball to break when you throw it. I think in some of those games out there, they just get out of hand because you know how the wind blows and balls just travel right out of the ballpark. Another look at our Fox Tracks. Good breaking ball right there from Chris Carpenter. An 8-inch vertical break. That's the bottom dropping out of that bad boy. 75 miles out of his hands, 70 miles an hour when it gets to the plate. That's about what it is. It's somewhere between 5 and 7 miles an hour that the pitch loses speed by the time it leaves your fingertips, by the time it gets to the catcher's mitt.
Tommy, I was watching during spring training. You got all kinds of little toys this year here, huh?
All kinds of stuff. They sprung the news on us. Tom Farmer did, and Doug Johnson, while we were out in Goodyear, Arizona. The Fox Tracks, which Chris just showed you a moment ago. We have the Exmo camera behind home plate for all the home telecast. And, of course, for the first time, George, everybody's excited about it. Thanks to our friends at H.H. Gregg as well, that every game will be broadcast in high def this season.
So you got to shave, Chris.
Twice a day.
You might need to.
I do.
You're right. You're right.
There's a roller. Well, both you guys. I mean, if you two guys were together.
Shave in the morning, we'd be here at 4 o'clock, shaving again.
Yeah.
I mean, our good friends, if I'm not mistaken, just down the road over here, they have 2 towers, called Procter & Gamble. They just bought Gillette about, 2 or 3 years ago.
It's
so
just
you
new
guys,
sponsor.
you could have a good
For a
sponsor.
sponsor, will you? Sure. That'll work.
In fact, I got Jim Strickler ought to shave too. Well, he did shave today.
Yeah, he
That's
did.
pretty
That'll
good.
be the only
Dickie
time all
Moss did.
summer.
Daddy Wags and Jesse, they're always buff. They're always in good shape.
Harang puts a fly ball to short left field, out number 2.
Either that, you can instead of the 7th inning stretch, you could do the 7th inning shave. You can do that up here. You know that?
I don't know if I can do it that fast. But I'll give it a shot.
Now, a lot of people want to say hello to you here, George. Jim Day, are you there?
I am here, Tom Brenneman, and it was like old times. One of the first people that I saw coming to the ballpark today was George Grant, and it just made me feel at home. Now, I have a question for you, Tom, and George, no one called me JD before you did. You kept calling me JD on the air, JD, and now around the stadium, everyone's JD, JD, hey, JD. And Tom Brenneman calls me Jimbo. And he's the only one that does that. So can you get together and come up with a consensus? What do you think it should be?
There you go. You got one of your poll questions already right there.
Very good, George.
We're always looking for.
That's it.
We're looking for questions, George.
Save
You're on
that
it.
for a rainout day.
Yeah, because most of them are extremely tired, as George well knows, ever since the advent of texting.
Hey,
So that's a legitimate good question. Jimbo or JD? I tell you, I'll be honest with you, I kind of like the sound of JD better.
You know, Tommy, you told me that you were going to get him among the people more this year. Chris, didn't you want? He's up in the press box again.
Absolutely. You know, I want to see him out there mingle because people they ask me all the time. They stop and say, "Where's Jim Day?" Let's get him out there. So I think maybe there's your 3 choices: Jim Day, JD, Jimbo. I kind of like J Day, but
J Day.
let's get him out there among the people.
I will be out amongst the people during the 6th inning. I promise you that today.
On the ground, Pujols is there. Well, George, great seeing you, buddy. And we
Thanks,
can't
guys.
wait to see you
Best
this
of luck.
summer.
I'll be
You're
watching.
back doing games.
I'll be watching.
All right,
Have
buddy.
fun.
God bless. George Grant. 17 years TV voice of the Reds throughout the first pitch on opening. and by GMC, we are professional grade. Opening day in Cincinnati, the 134th opening day game in the Queen City. The Cardinals providing the opposition 2010 with a 1-0 lead as we begin the fourth inning. Albert Pujols, a solo home run with 2 outs. In the first, the only Cardinal hit. Aaron Harang has struck out 2, walked 2. And he faces Matt Holliday to begin the St. Louis fourth. Holliday, of course, broke in originally, had some monster seasons in Colorado, and after reaching really a contract impasse, the Rockies dealt him to Oakland last year, where he was not the same player. But once he came to St. Louis, back in the National League, and knocked the cover off the ball for the Cardinals. And there's a liner that caught Aaron Harang. He didn't catch it, it caught him. Wow.
Well, you never know when a guy's going to get the green light on a 3-0 pitch. I guarantee you Matt Holliday has it anytime he wants. And he got a ball out over the plate, driving it right back through the middle. If Aaron Harang threw this pitch at, say, 94, probably came back to him at about 115. Oh, that ball was smoked.
One down for Colby Rasmus, who led off the second inning with a walk and wound up being stranded at third. Again, a reminder, an off day tomorrow will come your way opening night, as that one is in the air to right field, hit pretty well. Jay Bruce back to the track, looks up, 2-0 St. Louis. So Harang, for a second time, falls behind Rasmus. He walked him the first time, and this time on a 1-0 pitch, hammer to the seats in right.
That first thing we said about Colby Rasmus in his first at bat was this kid can turn on a fastball, and he's looking for one after getting a changeup that missed. I'm not even sure why you want to come in there on that kid, and for a strike anyway. That ball is right in his wheelhouse. You want to come inside to Colby Rasmus, better get it off the dish. Quick bat.
Well, now 2-0 Cardinals, and Ryan Ludwig down a strike. Expecting big things from Rasmus, and it just gives you an idea on this club with so many proven hitters. And granted, you can get into the righty-lefty thing all day, every day. But Rasmus batting in the 5-hole on what should be a pretty good Cardinal offensive team. And it's just his second year in the big leagues.
That right there is what Aaron Harang has not done a whole lot of so far in this early afternoon, which is come inside. You're not going to do it to intimidate major league hitters, but you got to be able to change your view. You can't keep pecking away at the same part of the strike zone without them feeling more and more comfortable. Make them move their feet, make them get their elbows out of the way, get their hands back, and then go back outside.
3-2 pitch pulled into left center field. That'll be a single for Ludwig. He's aboard with 1 out. Time for our AT&T trivia question. Who was the last Reds pitcher to have 10 strikeouts or more in an opening day game?
We have to go all the way back to Mario Soto, do you think?
Now, see, I would guess no. I mean, you had Jose Rijo started, what, 4 of them? Now, I mean, he was very much a strikeout pitcher. That would be my guess, but you might be right.
Of course, we also had Jimmy Haynes, Paul Wilson along the way.
And for that matter, Aaron Harang starting his 5th opening day game. And, of course, 2 years ago, he led the league in strikeouts.
The problem, though, with striking out that many batters on opening day is even back in the days before they emphasized pitch count so much, you've got to go deep into a ball game to get 10 unless you're really having a strikeout day. I got to go with old Mario sometime back in the 80s.
All right. Probably a very good guess. You talk about going deep into a game. It is something Harang did not do during the spring, because his last 2 starts anyway, where he lasted just 2 2/3, 9 hits and 7 earned runs in a game against Colorado. Then his final tune-up on the 30th against the Padres, he lasted just 4 2/3, again giving up a pile of hits and a bunch of runs. In fact, in both of those starts, once he left the game, he went down into the bullpen and continued to throw more pitches just to build up that arm strength.
I guess there's 2 ways to measure going deep into a game in spring training. One is innings pitched. The other is pitches thrown.
Boy, mistake there by Harang. And he hits Molina.
You can see the movement on that ball. Looked like he was coming inside anyway, maybe a 2-seamer. And Yadi Molina cringes, tries to tighten up in anticipation of being hit, but didn't really do a lot to try to get out of that way of that baby. Although the way it was coming in on him, I doubt he would have been able to get out of the way.
So a dicey situation for Harang. You're already behind Chris Carpenter, among the best pitchers in all of baseball, 2-0. And after getting it out, it's a single by Ludwig. Molina hit with a pitch. The good news is the bottom part of the order's coming up. But the bad news is Freese bangs a single to left field. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes the throw to the plate, and it's cut off by Rolen. It looked like they had a legitimate shot at Ludwig at the plate. It's a run-scoring single by Freese. Scoring is Ludwig. On to third goes Molina, and it's 3-0 St. Louis.
Well, it didn't look like that throw by Lance Nix had a chance to nip the runner. Ball hit sharply. The grass cut very short here, and the ball gets to Nix in a hurry. Now, we don't know on the field. It could have been Hernandez was yelling to Rolen, go ahead and cut it. Could have been that Rolen felt that there was no play. Don't know what the deal was on that, but 3 hits and a hit batter in the inning.
And now Carpenter.
And the one out that Harang has gotten in the inning was a bullet right back to him off the bat of Matt Holliday.
Well, interesting to see what Tony La Russa is going to do here. You already have a 3-0 lead. I mean, are you really going to have Carpenter bunt, or just have him show bunt and let him take a whack? Rolen pulled way in on the grass at third, and he does bunt it. Harang will feed Phillips covering first, give the sacrifice to Carpenter. Staying at third is Molina, but advancing on to second is Freese, and here comes Schumacher with 2 away. Harang has had his way with Schumacher through the first 2 at-bats, struck him out leading off the game. And then Schumacher bounced out to Votto his last time up. Looked like he hung a breaking ball there, and it's fouled off out of play to the third base side, strike 1. Cardinals 91 wins against 71 losses a season ago. Won the division title by 7.5 over the Cubs. This should be the final out of the inning. And it is. So the Cardinals tack on a pair. A home run by Erasmus, an RBI single by Freese. It's 3-0 St. Louis. Reds pitcher on opening day to strike out 10 or more batters. Well, you got it right, Mr. Welsh. Mario Soto struck out 10 in 1982. So you're 1 for 1 in our AT&T trivia
You know what?
question.
That might be my only successful guess of the year.
Yeah, but you know what? Just take it while you can get it.
You know, if I just guess Mario Soto
On any pitching
on
question.
every one,
Yeah.
every pitching question, I've got a good chance.
I think you're right. Reds trail 3-0 as they come to bat against Chris Carpenter here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The only Reds base runner was Joey Votto at a 2-out single to right in the 1st inning. On the ground to short. Brendan Ryan throws out Orlando Cabrera. Here comes Votto for the 2nd time. Well, Carpenter making it look way too easy early on, but he has a tendency to do that to just about everybody.
Well, he does, and they were wondering, though, the Cardinals and those that have watched the Cardinals recently, because in his last spring training start, he walked 6 batters, which is very un-Chris Carpenter-like. He usually has precision-like control.
This crowd just waiting for some kind of a jolt to get him into this ball game. Of the 10 outs recorded by Carpenter, 7 have been ground ball outs. That's something you talked about at the beginning of the game, Chris.
You're going to see it out of just about every one of these pitchers in the rotation for the Cardinals. They love to pound the bottom of the zone.
In the air by Votto. Pretty well hit, and this is that jolt the crowd's looking for. Unbelievable power to the opposite field. We've seen it since he was brought to the big leagues for this young Canadian. 2 for 2, and the Reds on the board.
Well, Carpenter wanted to come in. It looked like he wanted to have that little cutter or slider come in on the hands, and he got it out over the plate. And Joey Votto takes it the other way, and you've got to be some kind of strong to be able to do that. The ball just kept going and going. He's been locked in the last few days down in spring training. He was hitting the ball very hard. Take a look at the pitch to our Fox Tracks view. It was a breaking ball, 88 miles an hour, so that's a slider, only a 4-inch downward break, and landed about 400 feet away.
Breaking ball away. And Brandon Phillips, who bounced out to the second baseman his first time up with a count of 1-2. Most people feel as though Votto is right on the cusp of joining the truly elite hitters in all of Major League Baseball, and it's very hard to argue, as Phillips has gone on strikes, with everything that Votto has done since being brought to the big leagues. The only thing clearly that didn't go his way, we talked about the death of his father, Chris, a year and a half ago, and he had a lot of issues during the offseason, carried those into the regular season last year. Once he returned to the team, he started 82 of the final 83 games. And he was the best hitter in the entire National League over the last 2 months of the season. And this one is driven into left center field by Rowland. It's a 3-2 game. So all of a sudden, the Reds down 3-0 and extremely quiet. Have a pair of home runs in the inning.
Boy, Scott Rowland got a fastball that came back up out over the plate. A lot of movement on the fastball for Chris Carpenter, but when he elevates it above the waist, those are the ones that are hittable. And rolling all over it, two dingers in the inning, and it's a one-run game.
Ball 1 to Jay Bruce. And now Carpenter falls behind, 2 balls and no strikes. Now, you know Bruce looking for something right down the can for a 3rd home run in this inning.
He also hit the ball very sharply in the last few days of spring camp.
Now it's Tardy on a 2-0 fastball, out away from it. 2-1 on Bruce. Votto with a 1-out solo blast to left center. 2 batters later, rolling homers to make it a 1-run game. And now another hitter's count after fouling off the 2-0 pitch. Bruce now sitting on a 3-1 count. Struck him out. Well, I beg your pardon, 3-2. So the payoff pitch coming, Carpenter to Bruce. And that one banged into center field, a base hit by Bruce. After collecting 1 hit and 1 base runner through the first 3 innings, his 2nd time through the order, that's 3 hits and 2 runs.
Well, you get a little bit of familiarity. You see the pitcher. You haven't seen Carpenter in a year. You know, he's got great stuff. He's a big guy. The ball moves all over the place. And the more you see, the more it goes always in the favor of the hitter. And if he starts to make a mistake, those are the ones you have to jump on. He doesn't make many.
Now Lance Nix, who clubbed 15 home runs and 309 at bats a season ago, and a first pitch breaking ball is in there, a strike.
I thought one of the most impressive things about Chris Carpenter last year, other than the fact he was, led the league in earned run average at 2.2, is that he only gave up 7 home runs all year long in 192 innings. He has given up already 2 today.
On the ground, and by diving Pujols making a turn as Bruce. He'll go first to third. That's 4 hits in the inning now against Carpenter.
Looked like a fastball, and now you see Chris Carpenter missing his spots. Molina wanted it down and away. The ball was in, not hit hard, but hit right in the hole vacated by Albert, who's over having to hold the runner on.
Well, that'll be the number 8 hitter, Ramon Hernandez, and before he injured his knee last year, which cost him about 2.5 months, he was among the best Reds hitters, with runners in scoring position. In fact, overall on the year last year, Hernandez, with runners in such positions, batted .328. He was mighty good. And a lot of his damage came through that hole on the right side. And right now with Pujols having to hold Nix on at first, and surprisingly, to some degree, the second baseman Schumacher cheating back up the middle. There's about 75 feet of wide open pasture there on the right side for Hernandez.
And it's interesting, Carpenter's way off the mark. I'm not sure if something's happened to him or whether he's just suddenly gotten out of his rhythm, but Molina has wanted both of the pitches in this at-bat to Hernandez to come inside, and he's missed them off the plate outside. And that's missing by 2 feet, something that Carpenter doesn't usually do very often. I mean, Molina knows that Hernandez likes to stroke that ball to right field. Tough to do it when it's on your hands.
A few bodies beginning to stir around in that Cardinal bullpen. We're only in the bottom of the 4th inning, and Carpenter has thrown 71 pitches so far in this game.
Yeah, and if there is a Achilles heel on this Cardinal team, it could be the bullpen.
That pitch nowhere near the strike zone. You almost wonder if they've just conceded this at bat to Hernandez after falling behind 2-0 and now 3-0. There is activity in the Reds bullpen. And you have the pitcher Aaron Harang due up next.
That's Mike Lincoln.
Chris, is this one of those situations where if it's close, you're Hernandez, do you go outside the strike zone 3-0 if you can put the bat on the ball here?
If it's hittable.
And it's hittable. But on a 3-0 count to the warning track. Wow. Caught by Holliday. But the Reds scored twice, flexing their muscles in the inning. First Votto. And then Rolen. It's a one-run game. Afternoon on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Alongside Chris Welsh, Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro, our producer Christian Roberts, our director Roy Alfers, Tom Brenneman, for our entire crew on Fox Sports Ohio here at Cincinnati's Great American Ballpark. On opening day 2010, a one-run game. Cardinals jumped out in front on a Pujols home run, 1-0 in the first, scored twice in the fourth. But in the bottom of the fourth inning, the Reds get home runs from Votto and Rolen. And a one-run game as Brendan Ryan pops up the first pitch from Harang to begin the fifth, one away. I started to ask you before that 3-0 pitch about Hernandez. Were you surprised that he swung 3-0?
I wasn't surprised he swung 3-0. I was just surprised that the ball was as hittable as it was for Ramon Hernandez. I really thought that they may try to force the hand of Dusty Baker by just pitching around the zone, bringing Aaron Harang to the plate.
Breaking ball away on Albert Pujols. 1-1 Pujols has homered to left center field and flied out. The straightaway center.
The signing of Matt Holliday gives the Cardinals maybe the best 3-4 thump, at least in all the National League, maybe in all of baseball. Of course, you have to consider Mark Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez 3 and 4 as maybe those that are right there with him. But what they expect to have happen is fewer bases on balls to Albert Pujols because you can't pitch around both these guys. Without an enforcer behind Pujols, you can kind of pitch around him, put him on base, and then go after the next guy. But the next guy is Matt Holliday. It's not an easy task. Both of those hitters have won batting titles, and both of them are fearsome sluggers.
on the ground and under the glove of a diving Cabrera into center field, and Pujols has his second hit. And this time it's a one-out single in the 5th inning. Well, it's a pleasure to be joined up here in the booth by none other than Bob Castellini, President, CEO of the Cincinnati Reds. How are you, young man? Happy opening day to you.
Great to be here.
You've been a busy man since very early this morning.
What a great day.
Well, Mother Nature certainly has cooperated. We know that much.
We need 2 things today, no rain and a victory.
You're out of breath. I mean, I heard you on the radio. I don't even know what time it was. You know, when you have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, you know, you're up before the crack of dawn, as you are every day. And, I mean, you have been nonstop all day today. Are you having a good time?
This is the greatest day of the year for us until we get to the postseason. How's that sound?
I like that. I like that very, very much. You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you're a lifelong Cincinnatian and your involvement with the Reds, everybody knows about. But when you were a kid, did you come to opening day regularly?
Oh, every day, every time. You bet. From Crosley Field on.
Do you have a special opening day memory? Anything stand out?
Yeah, I have the one. Hank Aaron hit his 714th home run. And I had some customers, and I sent one of our young salesmen out to get beer for the customers. And Hank hit the home run, and the kid got back about 2 innings later, and he said, "Bob, don't tell my family that I wasn't there when he hit that home run." What year was that?
74. That was my dad's first game as a broadcaster for the Reds.
Come on.
Yeah, first inning of the first game he ever broadcast, and Hank Aaron ties Babe Ruth for the all-time home run record at Riverfront Stadium. 2-0 the count on Holiday after the one-out single by Albert Pujols. Almost hit him. He did hit him. So not a good start here for Harang after retiring the first batter in the 5th. He's allowed a single and now hit Holiday.
And he's bringing up a guy in Colby Rasmus that has reached base twice, once with a long home run.
Well, Bob, we were saying a minute ago, you know, you felt like you needed a little bit of jolt for this crowd. I mean, they're waiting for something to happen, then all of a sudden the home runs by Votto and Rolen.
We had the governor with us down in the seats, and as soon as we got up to leave, he going to go see some people. Our offense opened up. I said, "Governor, you can't come back to these seats."
You might be the only guy who can tell him that.
I think you're right. Well, here's Rasmus with a count of 0-1, 2 on, a 1-run game. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Well, Bob, you talked about it. Here it is. I mean, you relive this moment from opening day 1974. Bright sunny day that day.
How sharp were those Fox people? Look at this.
Jack Billingham on the mound.
That was it. Joe Clare was getting beer at the beer stand.
See, but now the word's out. They'll have to hurry if they want to turn 2. There's one. Throw by Cabrera. They're not going to double up Rasmus, but they get a second out of the inning, and the Cardinals have them on the corner. I know you got to feel pretty good about the way, and knock on wood, I'm not jinxing anything right now, but Bob, you're in tune with what the fans are talking about, and, you know, so many people optimistic about this season. A lot of folks feel like Aaron Harang's going to have a lot to say about, you know, how well the club plays, and so far today he's thrown the ball pretty well.
Yeah, he really has. He's comfortable with himself. You know, we have a good chance this year. You know, we've got more depth than we've ever had, and barring injuries, we're gonna contend. We're gonna contend. We'll see what happens.
Now Ryan Ludwig with runners on the corners and 2 away. Cardinals in front 3-2. Check swing, and it's low ball 1. In fact, Chris had said that earlier in his 18 years as a broadcaster for the team, Bob, especially from the pitching. He can't remember this kind of depth.
Yeah. Well, if Chris says that after 18 years, then, you know, that's a real testimony.
Well, it's nice to have the kids you have in the pipeline, but then you add to it, like bringing in a young man like Aroldis Chapman. That's exciting.
Did you see him down there?
Oh, yeah. I saw him several times.
He really had some stuff to do.
I've never seen anything like it, to be honest with you. I mean, people ask me, is he for real? I said, I don't know if he's for real or not. All I know is that when the ball leaves his hand, it seems to get smaller en route to the plate. He's an amazing pitcher at this point. Love to see him get up here when he's ready.
2-0 the count on Ludwig. And there's a strike. You know, it's funny. You know, you talk about Chapman and all the pub he got during spring training, rightfully so. But, you know, conversely, you go over and talking to my dad here now in his 37th year with the Reds, and he's never seen anybody like Mike Leake. I mean, to think that this young man who a year ago is pitching at Arizona State, and he will be a part of the Reds' 5-man rotation to begin this year. 3-2, 2-2 now on Ludwig.
He's a fine young man, too. When he showed up at Arizona, he was one of the first ones, and the truck was there. And the Stows and everybody were unloading the truck, and he just pitched right in and started to help. And then finally somebody directed him to his locker.
Told him you don't have to do this.
No, well, you know, he didn't care. He wanted to continue to help.
Big pitch right here for Harang. Runners on the corners, 2 away. 2-2 on Ryan Ludwig. Wow. And you really wonder why. So much to concentrate on, and the guy standing at first base, Rasmus, attempted a total of 4 stolen bases a year ago.
The shame of that, Tom, I think for any right-hander, not just Aaron Harang, but the number of times you'll pick a guy off first base with a right-handed move compared to the number of times you throw it down the line. Throwing it down the line wins almost every time.
Swung on and fouled away. That's a tough way to get a run home.
Yeah, I think Ludwig is asking for catcher's interference right there, and he almost acted like he tried for it right there. The way he swung the bat on that last pitch, he waited and waited, kind of dropped his hands back, and he says in his contending now to the home plate umpire that he made contact with Hernandez's glove. Here's the throw to first base. That's not what we're talking about. That's disappointment by Harang.
Bob, I heard you on the radio earlier today, and talking about so many of the pieces that you've helped bring in here. Of course, most notably Walt Jocketty, leaving the St. Louis Cardinals after many years as their general manager. Of course, now in that same position with the Reds. And I think our friend Bill Cunningham asked you about it, and you said that you are the cheerleader. You're not the man who's going to get credit for this thing getting turned in the right direction.
Well, he turned me into a pinboy from a cheerleader.
I heard that.
We had a great repartee. He's a great fan. He's a real fan.
Foul away, 2-2 on Ryan Ludwig. So many great promotions. You know, Bob, I know your son Phil, and I know, for a dad, sometimes it's hard publicly to go out and maybe give one of your siblings a lot of credit. But I saw that, Phil and the entire marketing department in one of the big sports journals were given 3 of the top 10 awards for, different marketing ideas among all clubs in Major League Baseball. That's a great testament.
It is. They're doing a great job. That whole gang, you work so hard.
Well, I'm going to let you go enjoy the game. It's great to see you.
Thanks, Tom.
Get back in those seats where you were with all the offense in. Bob Castellini, kind enough to stop by on a very busy opening day. The Cardinals where the Cardinals won more teams than any team in the National League. I mean, you talk about a very, very impressive run. The Cardinals winning outright or sharing 7 of the 10 divisional championships during the decade.
Well, in that decade, there are only 2 teams in baseball that had a better record or more wins than the St. Louis Cardinals. One of them, obviously, the New York Yankees. The other, the Boston Red Sox. So they're right there with the big boys. And believe me, if you compare payrolls over that decade, you'll really appreciate the job that Tony La Russa and Walt Jocketty and company had done as running that Cardinal franchise. Just an exemplary performance.
Miguel Cairo sent up the pinch hit for Aaron Harang, and first pitch swinging a ground ball to the shortstop, Brendan Ryan. 1 away, so Harang 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned. He hit 2 batters. He walked 2 batters. He struck out the first 2, the only 2 he struck out on the afternoon. Boy, but that was a killer throw over to first base, which, by the way, the scoring decision was a throwing error on Harang. Yes, Votto did have to cross over the runner to make the catch, but it did hit him in the glove. Just hard to understand with 2 strikes and 2 outs.
It's got to be caught.
Yeah, that's a pity. Yeah, absolutely. It was a less than average throw. That's bobbled, and Dickerson hustling all the way will reach on the air by Schumacher. The Reds get a break.
Now, when you have the speed of Chris Dickerson, you know that as an infielder. You want to make sure that you field the ball cleanly, and sometimes you rush yourself a little bit. That took a bad hop at the very end, climbed up his shirt, and by the time he's recovered, of course, the speedy Dickerson's at first base. So now it'll be interesting to see if Dusty Baker wants to put somebody in motion, put some play on. This is the whole idea, getting your leadoff man on, even though now with 1 out. Cabrera, good handler of the bat. A lot of options open now to Dusty Baker.
First time Cabrera has come to the plate with a runner aboard. And it swung on and fouled out of play.
Yeah, clearly trying to hit behind the runner there.
Cabrera knocked in 77 runs last season, splitting the year, beginning it in Oakland, wrapping it up in Minnesota. Scored 83 runs, 4th most runs scored by any shortstop in the league. As we talked about earlier, his base hits, advancing runners, and really it's not only the ability to get hits, but guys in front of you that can run. Nobody's going to advance here on the inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. An error, nobody left. In the 5, the Cardinals lead by 2.
is time to introduce our text poll question. It's brought to you by Meijer. And I had to open my big mouth. Earlier I asked, what should you call me? George Grant used to call me JD. Tom Brenneman calls me Jimbo. So, which would you like to hear me be called? It's our textbook question of the day. Text your votes to 37664. Text 1 for JD, 2 for Jimbo. And I don't know if this is a reflection on the lack of textbook questions or if I have indeed made it in my career that I am the subject of a textbook question, Tom.
Especially on opening day, Jim. Everybody and his brother watching the game today throughout Reds country on Fox Sports Ohio. And we thank our friends, by the way, from WKRC Channel 12 locally, also carrying this opening day game as Mike Lincoln now takes over on the mound. And, Jim, you know, a lot of people are saying there should be a third choice and let them fill in the blank.
Well, I've heard that as well. And in fact, the people back here in the standing room only are saying down in front because they are not allowed on the railing.
Maybe that should be the third choice, down in front.
That, you know what, that might be a good one for me.
Backhanded by Rolen, a long throw. It pulls Votto off the bag, and Yadier Molina has reached safely on an infield hit.
Hit it right down the line. Nice job by Rolen to take a couple of steps, and then a backhand comes up right away. Now, Molina doesn't run well, but still the ball's got to be right on the bag to be able to get him. A perfect throw would have gotten him, so an infield hit now for Molina. He'll give you some defense.
Well, Carpenter is standing in the on-deck circle back in that fourth inning when he allowed the 2 runs and the 4 hits. They had a few bodies stirring around in the bullpen. Carpenter has thrown close to 90 pitches in this game. And yet he stands in the on-deck circle with no action beyond the right field wall in the Cardinal pen.
Chris Carpenter knows as well as anybody, as long as he has been around.
Muscled into short right. Bruce has got it. And quickly back to first. Molina, 1 away.
That the fewer innings you turn over to middle relief, the better chances of you maintaining that victory. And what good teams love to do is shorten ball games. I mean, if you've got a good end of the bullpen, and the Reds do, of course, with Cordero and Nick Bassett and Arthur Rhodes setting up, you know, you can shorten that game to 7 innings, and you really increase the chances of preserving the victory. And the Cardinals are one team that has kind of struggled with the back end of the bullpen. Brian Franklin's been very good as a closer, had a tremendous year last year. They moved the guy who was in the candidate for a number 5 starter job, and Kyle McClellan back into the bullpen to be a setup guy. Jason Mott is a setup guy. But certainly not household names. Capable, yes, but that has yet to be determined how strong that part of their game will be.
Off the glove, ricochets to Phillips, who bare hands. Boy, very dangerous play there by Phillips. Yes, it's completed getting the out at first, but with Carpenter running, it looked like he had a little more time to gather himself a bit on the feed to Harang, but it does turn into an out.
Well, you know, he is so athletic that he'll do things unconventionally. I mean, you try to work with Brandon Phillips and teach him how to field ground balls the book way, and it doesn't work because he is such a tremendous athlete. He does it his own way, and he makes this play like he's practicing. Probably never has, but the guy's got such coordination that don't try those things at home.
So now Schumacher. After an infield hit by Molina, consecutive outs recorded by Lincoln. Schumacher is 0 for 3. He struck out swinging, bounced to first, and grounded out to Phillips at second. Lincoln went to spring training with an eye on the number 5 spot in the Reds starting rotation. It obviously didn't play out that way. In fact, he only got a couple of starts and then was sent back to the bullpen.
Well, the whole idea of starting Mike Lincoln really came from Walt Jocketty back in the Arizona League or Instructional League in the fall. They went to Mike Lincoln, who had surgery during the summer, was on the disabled list when the season ended. And they said, you know, how about thinking about coming back as a starter next year? You did it early in your career when you were with the Twins. And Lincoln said, sure, I'll do it. So they just wanted to have some more guys to choose from. Lincoln was in the mix. Micah Owings in the mix. Kip Wells in the mix.
Justin Lear.
Matt Maloney. And, of course, Chapman, Leake, and Travis Wood. The last three standing.
With Leake the winner. 3-1 to Schumacher, who had an excellent season a year ago, hitting .303 for the Cardinals, and there's a strike. Lincoln, one of the great stories in baseball in 2008, after he had missed nearly 3 full years due to injuries, had an outstanding season, and then last year was just never right. Diving play by Votto, and that'll end the inning. So a hit, a man left, a scoreless frame for Lincoln. JD 55, Jimbo 45. I agree with that. I like JD.
How about down in
center field, the first run of this Reds season. Pitch down and away, and we've talked about perhaps outside of Ryan Howard in Philadelphia. Not sure there's any left-handed hitter in the league with quite the opposite field power of Votto, and then 2 batters later, Rolen crushes one to left center. And that was a Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Votto and Rolen both will bat here in the Reds' 6th inning, down a couple of runs. Votto a perfect day. A single to right field in the 1st inning, and the home run to left center field in the 4th.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Brought to you by...
That voice you hear in the background, everybody can tell that voice, recognize that voice.
Holy cow, you guys. Nothing like a game of baseball. What a play by Votto.
There was a time you used to do this job for a living. You remember that?
I know. I think you were somewhere in the the den at that time.
No, you and I were actually. Was it 88, 89? Both those years.
I got hit 3 times in the head, and I'm still paying for it. Hello, Chris.
Hey, John.
How was the parade?
Well, Carpenter's still out there. The parade was the most unbelievable parade I think we've ever had here. 100,000 people.
Really? Wow. We didn't hear that. George came in and said it was great, but.
Well, George was so. I mean, I got work on my rotator cuff just from waving today. There were so many people. It was a wonderful day. So many Reds fans.
Now, see, knowing you, Johnny Bench, as George told the story, as Votto rolls over one out in front of the plate, and Carpenter will throw him out. I mentioned the fact that, when we saw you in spring training, there you are as the Grand Marshal of this year's parade.
My
your son, Bobby, right? Is that Bobby with you? I can't tell.
That's Bobby.
That's what I thought. How old is he now, by the way?
He's 20. He's a sophomore at Boston University.
Got the brains in the family.
He better have. He's got most of my retirement.
So he got the glue, too.
Yes. Here's Carpenter working against Brandon.
But you say to George Grant, I mean, you had told us in spring training when we saw you about you just had your hip replaced, right?
8 weeks ago, yeah.
And you're doing very well.
I'm playing golf. I'm doing everything.
Wow.
My second one. Thank you, Dr. Bertram, the striker. I love it.
But understand, George told us that you looked at him and said, hey, look, I don't want to make you nervous or uncomfortable or anything, but don't throw one that's going to make me move, because that's just not going to happen.
Anything below the waist is somewhere else. I'm always already have Hannigan out there to back me up.
But Chris said Bench will just let the thing go.
I will.
Look like a fool.
Will. Here's the secret. Do not stand all the way up on the mound, because when you pull down, and his was perfect form. Did you see that, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
Elbow was up. Everything was perfect with it. And I said, whatever you do, ground ball, Schumacher, this will be easy. 2 up, 2 down. And I said, just try to throw it over my head. If you throw it to the screen, people will say, what an arm. But if you bounce it, you're all over you, right? I can imagine what you guys would have said to George. But it was perfect form.
Those are pretty good numbers right there, Mr. Bench.
That was last century.
Well, it might have been, but they were still good.
That was my millennium. I don't know what to say.
14 All-Star games. Is there one moment that stands out for you in any of those games?
Probably the first one in 1968. Here's a drive. Way back left center field. Back to the wall. It's going to be caught. Oh, wow. The deepest part of the ballpark. Oh, my. Nelly. Oh, we got to get them all. We got to get them all in.
You got them all covered. That's a catch by Rasmus.
Great timing. Great timing. And he pulled it back. Pulled it back as Jesse gives us 3-2 on 4-2 Cardinals. In 1968, I was sitting in the clubhouse, and Willie Mays came over to me, and I'm just in my locker. I'm afraid to move because all these guys, here this Gibson and Mays and all these guys are walking by, and I didn't want to spike anybody or anything else. Mays walked across the locker room and said, "You should have been the starting catcher." Well, made my day. And then in the, I guess it was the 9th inning, I was the only other catcher, and they didn't want to put me in, and they went in and told Shingley, "Red, you got to put him in." Well, we don't have the other catches. He won't get hurt, but I caught the 9th inning of that game, and it was a beautiful thing. Strike call on the inside. Then the next year in Washington, I hit a home run, my first at bat. And then Yastrzemski caught one. My second home run, he took one over the fence, just like we just saw in the last inning. Breaking ball, just a little bit outside.
Now, you're coming up here. I mean, are you missing the broadcasting gig?
Well, I would, yeah. I mean,
do you miss it at all?
I love the game. I mean,
I know you do.
I think it's hard for you guys as to come. You're probably used to it now, but to come to the ballpark every day and do it. But once you get into the rhythm of being a part of what the game is and being able to talk about it, I think there's nothing better than what's out there. And so many people come to me as Ryan leads off with a base hit. They come to me and they say, "Boy, it's really changed." I said, "It hasn't changed." I mean, Chris. I mean, the guys still have heart. The guys after the contracts, all the stuff is when they get on the field, they want to play baseball.
You're right. And the guys, if you're on a bad team, you don't want to come to the ballpark in September. And you're on a good team, you can't wait to get to the ballpark.
That's right.
And things haven't changed like that. The money's changed. Some of the things certainly has changed the size of the houses the players have, but hadn't changed the game itself.
Yeah, I could live in their cars.
Runner goes and Pujols lines one into right center field. And holy Moses, it clears a wall in right center field.
That's a hit and run. That's what we call a hit and run. Some people call it a hit and try.
This guy is absolutely amazing. I was just starting to ask you about him, Johnny Bench. I mean, there have to be guys, when you say, it hasn't changed, but there have to be guys, as a Hall of Famer that you were, that you watch now and you say, man, this guy is something very, very special.
Well, I mean, I still don't understand why we've thrown him a strike. I mean, you get into a situation like the first inning, he got 2 strikes on him. I don't care. I mean, Holliday's coming up behind him, but he's not going to get a pitch that he can hit. I mean, I don't care if I walk him 3 or 4 times. I mean, we used to do that with McCovey.
Yeah, Halliday's a good hitter, but he's nowhere near in the same category as Albert Pujols. If anybody is, I don't know.
Well, Holliday hit some mistakes, and he's a great hitter and great player, but this guy doesn't miss a pitch.
Into center field, a bouncing ball off the bat of Holliday. So after a leadoff single by Ryan, Pujols clubs his 3rd hit, his 2nd home run. He's knocked in 3 of St. Louis's 6 runs.
Well, another fastball above the waist on the outer part of the plate. This time, instead of pulling it to left center field, Albert goes the other way. And an 88-mile-an-hour fastball right there oftentimes becomes a souvenir.
And here comes Dusty Baker. There's activity.
Yeah. But that was, you could see it was a straight hit and run. And here he's trying to go the other way. And that's just, this ballpark parts you along with the fact that he's just the best player in baseball. Would you say?
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know who else in the category you'd put with him.
I mean, he's won a Gold Glove. He's a great team player, and if you go into St. Louis and see them working out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he's the one out there leading all the extra work. It's amazing.
Lewis tacking on a run in the 5th inning and getting a 2-run home run here in the 7th by Albert Pujols. And now taking over on the mound. What a rock solid rookie season it was last year for Daniel Ray Herrera. All 5'6", 165 pounds of him, but don't let that fool you. A lot of heart in this young man. A 45th round draft choice, and pitched in 70 games for the Reds last year with an ERA right at 3.
Bobby Shantz going to Whitey Ford. I mean, maybe an inch or two taller, but man, this guy's got some heart.
But apparently must have pretty decent stuff to go along with.
You know what he does, and I really believe that Herrera can be as effective, if not more so, against right-handers and left-handers, because he's got that screwgy that really acts like a right-handed curveball the way it breaks away from him.
Man, John Franco lived off of it for a long time.
Colby Rasmus with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Cardinals have hit 3 home runs in a game. Pujols has 2 of them. Rasmus has the other.
It's funny how hitters practice, quick swings, getting the ball fast, and so on. What they don't practice is hitting the kind of stuff that Herrera throws up there.
Now, really the only chink in the armor for Herrera last year, and I mean, you're really nitpicking for a guy that came on and threw as well as he did.
Why not nitpick?
24 walks in 61 innings. It's not brutal, but you'd like to see him cut that back by about a third.
Who's walking? I used to have the guy you walk 4, and the guys come in and say, well, they walk 4. I said, well, I walk 3 of them. Yep. There's just a lot of times, like if you walk Pujols in the first inning, you might be a nothing game, and it's not like you're doing it. I told our catchers, our young kids, when I was down in Goodyear at the minor league, I said, they talked about calling a game. Well, I'm looking in the on-deck circle. Well, there's Holiday, okay, and then who's behind him? Well, if I can't get him out and I have trouble with him, then I'll go to the dugout and get him out. If I walk 2 and get out of the inning, it really doesn't matter. I just don't want to, cost myself a big inning and maybe the home runs that we see. So sometimes it's just as important to pitch around the guy and maybe miss or let him get himself out. But, Daniel, I mean, he is a control pitcher. I mean, he's got to get a little bit more rounded, but, he's around the plate. He's got such good stuff sometimes that the guys do lay off, and it's just something like that. But what was his ERA?
3.06.
See, I mean, you got an effective kid like that, Chris. It's just, unless you're a nitpicker like some people over here on my left.
That's right. I think a situational walk is a valuable thing.
Swing and miss by Rasmus.
There's simply some guys that you just don't match up well against.
And here's the situation, like you say, Chris. Here comes Ludwig, and he's right now, having a good game. Got a hit, but you're still looking at a guy that can get the ball on the ground, get the double play, get out of the inning if you need it, or he can just, as we saw the strikeout, keep these guys off balance. And you don't see a lot of this stuff early in through spring training. So I mean, you really get a good advantage when you got Daniel out there.
Runner at first, 2 runs home here in the Cardinals' 7th inning. St. Louis with a 6-2 lead.
Virus database has been updated.
Both of their runs via the home run ball from Votto, the other from Rolen in the 4th inning. Had 4 hits in that inning, stranded 2. Down the left field line, and Nix in the corner runs it down, and staying put at first base is Holiday, 2 away in the inning.
Well, I'll ask you. What do you think of this ball club?
I think the ball club is much improved over last year. I think that, you're hoping last year that some of the guys in their rookie year were going to make a big impact. And that rarely happens. It may be more than one player. But I think Jay Bruce has had a year and a half in the major leagues. He'll be a better player this year. I think Joey Votto, we've seen his worst year, I believe. I think this guy is just going to be solid 320 hitter, 30 home runs a year from here on out. I think Rolen helps him from a standpoint of, preparing how to win. And I like the pitching staff. I really like the pitching staff a lot.
What do you think about it? You were around in spring training.
Well, probably not as much as you, but I love the depth. I think that when you got guys that are interchangeable and you got guys in the outfield right now that can play defense, you got guys coming off the bench that you can fill in and not really hurt yourself. You can really, a lot of them are interchangeable. You got a kid like Stubbs and Gomes and people that can do the job. I mean, that's Cairo's, good addition. Everybody's here, and And with Homer Bailey last year, it's up to Aaron. You know what you're going to get out of Bronson. And it's kind of interesting to see Leake and a few others. So
I think you're going to like Leake, Johnny.
That's all I've heard.
I think you're going to like
that's all I've
a lot.
heard. And that's good. I mean, that's good to have that kind of kid. And I don't think Chapman's that far away. I mean, for me, if he's healthy, I have him up here, and he's loaded right now.
I've never seen anything like it.
I saw him pitch out there, and I mean, I put him number 2 or 3 right now, and just take a shot with it.
I mean, is there a guy that you've seen? Well, we'll talk about it next inning. We hope.
Well, if we get a countdown, we'll know when to come back because we got a little deficit going.
Well, we're going to keep it right here for the singing of the playing, I should say, from saxophonist Alon Trotman, who will perform. The Reds are looking for free agents to join them for singles night at the ballpark, JB. That's this Friday night.
That's not me.
First 20,000 fans receive a Reds t-shirt thanks to Chipotle. You can watch the Reds and the Cubs, enjoy drink specials, a dating game in the fan zone, and more. Get tickets at 381 Reds or visit reds.com/singles night.
They're looking for 20,000 fans or 20,000 free agents as Joe Mather goes into right field. Double switch by Tony La Russa, and Dennis Reyes will take the mound. First batter he'll face, lefty-lefty.
Jay Bruce looks at ball one. We were talking while watching Reyes come in from the bullpen. I mean, here's a guy that was extremely inconsistent as an extremely young man when he first came to the big leagues with the Dodgers. Of course, then he came over to the Reds in a trade. Was here for a short time, but you know how time does fly. He has put together a pretty doggone good major league career as Dennis Reyes. There's a breaking ball, a check swing, and they appeal it didn't go around. So he's always had a big arm. 99 and 2000, pardon me, Chris, and part of 01 with the Reds.
Always had a big arm. In fact, he even started a game back when Jack McKeon managed the Reds ball club. He came over from the Dodgers, and that's when Jack nicknamed him Big Sweat. Seemed like Dennis Reyes could work up a lather in a snowstorm.
You know, so much was made about Reyes when he first came to the big leagues. He's from Mexico. His idol was fellow
Fernando. I'm just
Valenzuela.
guessing. I did not know that, but you would have assumed in the dating game that they've already had that they would have matched up.
That's exactly right. He looked bodily very close to him. He had the, he idolized the guy, did everything like him.
Ate like him.
Indeed.
You know, it's overrated. We used to have Fat Jack Fisher pitching for us.
All right, now, JB, take us to school here for a minute. Much has been made, early part of a career, and you see guys develop. Lefty on lefty. Young left-handed hitter, Jay Bruce. One piece of advice to get better against left-handed pitching would be what?
Well, he's got to stay back, obviously. I mean, if you try to do too much in like there, see, I mean, he commits early, and then his hands are late. So, I mean, he can't, his bat trails through the zone. And, you know, with a guy that you have trouble with, you really got to be selective as the first pitch. Now, he swung at a pitch. He got into a game situation 2-1. I think it was 2-0 or 3-0, and he threw him a pitch inside almost off the plate. And, you know, here's Reyes pitches to one batter. So here's Tony, you know, managing already because he's going to the bullpen. But situation where if you've got a pitcher in a situation, you've got to zone him at that time. And he swung at a pitch off the plate. So it's selection. It's, you know, you're down 6-2. You're trying to get a base hit. You're trying to hit a home run, whatever it takes to get it out. But, I mean, Reyes hadn't even come close to the plate. Ohio.com, and you can log on, and we've got a new pitcher in, and he'll face, well, we got a pinch hitter backing up. Stubbs was called originally.
And he'll back.
And now we got the real McCoy standing there looking at you, ready to talk during today's game. For a live chat with Hall of Famer baseball writer Hal McCoy, just do it, foxsportsohio.com, and the real McCoy, and log on to it.
Bruce Stubbs, who of course came up for the final month and a half of last year and showed more power at the major league level than at any time during his minor league career. Runs extraordinarily well and figures to see a lot of playing time, if not the majority of playing time, in center field during this 2010 season. Jason Mott, hard-throwing young right-hander, takes over on the mound. You may remember Mott began the year last year as a Cardinal closer as a rookie. And there's a bleeder to left center field. It'll fall a hit. So the Reds down 4, clearly needing guys to get aboard, and that's what Stubbs does off the bench.
A bleeder? A bleeder? This is a bullet.
It looks like that in my scorebook.
That's right. Now we got a good look at this right here. Now he's got to let that right hand rip through there. Got it right onto the label. And that is a bleeder, or a dying quail, as they call it out there. But it sure is a solid single to start off right now.
That's our Exmo look. You like that look?
Yeah. I really do.
When you get back, at home, and you're away from the ball club, do you watch a lot of the games?
I do. I like to switch back and forth. I can pretty well pick it up. Probably going to order the channel this year. This kid's got a pretty good arm.
Yeah, he throws hard.
93 miles an hour on that pitch. He's got a delay. He really gathers himself, separates over the mound. When you watch a guy, if he's getting the ball out of his glove when he's on top of the mound, and he gives himself time to release the arm. There it is right there. Good running sinker in there. So he's kind of a dart thrower, but it's pretty good when he can throw the darts around 92.
Yeah, you know why he's a dart thrower? He's a former catcher. When he came up, he was a catcher, and that's why he's got such a short arm delivery.
It's the only thing I missed in the major leagues was not getting to pitch. Oh, I may come back.
Well, I love the story I heard during spring training about Todd Helton. Of course, the #1 draft pick by the Colorado Rockies, and during his collegiate days at Tennessee, when he didn't play first base, he was also a pitcher. And after he had initially reached the big leagues in September, can't remember the year it was, maybe 93, as it's up and in. And, he went to the general manager over and over and over again and said, look, I'm not going to give up on pitching. I want a chance to pitch. He said, I tell you what, Bob Gebhard, the general manager, I'll send you all the way back down to single A, and you can work your way up as a pitcher just like you did as a hitter.
I guess he didn't go for that one.
He didn't go for that one at all.
Well, I was 75-3 lifetime.
Run that by me again.
75-3 lifetime.
Who?
I lost my first game when I was 16. I had a curveball I could start behind Hernandez and break it on the outside.
Really?
Oh, man. I had the drop, the dude drop. I had a side bing in there, threw a little knuckleball. And I had some serious heat.
I don't doubt that at all.
Baby.
Foul away, the runner on the go. And now, one time, you told me this 100 years ago when we worked together. Did you break every toe at least once, or a number of toes and a lot of fingers? What was that?
I have 6 broken bones in each foot. My toenails are, they're a mess. They're like hammer toes because of all the foul tips on there. And nowadays, I wear a size 12 shoe, but I wear a 10.5 spike, so it's kind of like wearing a cast. I got a foul tip in San Francisco. It hurt so bad, and I got up that night in the middle of the night, we got out of bed, fell flat on the floor, and they went to x-ray it, and they said, well, you don't have a break there, but you got 5 old breaks.
Really?
You just played. You just played. And I love the hamstrings. Guys come along with hamstrings. When we had a hamstring or a pulled groin, you put Abilene cream and capsule, and you mix it up to the right amount of heat. Then you rubbed it on where the hamstring pull was, and you wrapped it with an ace bandage. And it healed in 3 or 4 days, and they couldn't tell the difference in my speed, quite honestly.
There's ball 4 up and into Hernandez. Now, again, much like we talked about with Herrera, from the right side, Mott is a guy who, from time to time last year, his first full year in the major league.
Is this like a nitpick?
Had a hard time throwing strikes. And, JB, now this year, Tony La Russa is putting this young man in a much more important role as far as the way this bullpen is pieced together, leading to their closer, Ryan Franklin.
And he's got a perfect situation today, Tom, 6'2", which gives him a little leeway. Here's a ground ball, gets a double play, and helps him through the inning and everything else. But he's got a great sinker. All he needs is one pitch, and all we need is a base hit. Or there it is.
And this guy can hit. Francisco, they're going to wave around the runner. Here comes the throw to the plate. The slide.
Yeah.
Stubbs is in there. And Juan Francisco, who knocked in better than 100 runs at 3 different levels last year, has all of a sudden brought the Reds within 3. The tying run will come to the plate. This guy's going to be a player.
Yep, and they got a phone call to the bullpen. This kid, when I saw him in spring training, Chris, I mean, he sits on it. Here's a kid that just absolutely is wound up, and if he gets anybody any control at all. Watch this, Chris.
You know, I've compared him to Prince Fielder, the way he swings the bat a little bit. I don't know if he'll end up being as good, but he certainly has a kind of pop. And you got to figure, after Mott walked the previous batter, he's coming in there with a first pitch fastball for a strike, and Francisco was ready for it.
I mean, here's a ball he hit on the end of the bat, still with authority and everything else. This kid actually has, I think, more potential than Prince Fielder. I think
that's good to know.
I mean, I see Prince as a sort of full body hitter. This guy is a coiler.
Yep.
And if we see him, we see everything back. He's back to the target. Dave Duncan's going to go out and talk with Mott right now. And it's a really important bat for him where he can do it. But when you watch this swing, watch how he coils. Watch his hands. They go back into a position, and he's still there. Those hips are still closed, and he can unload. And I heard stories in spring training, Tommy, about where he hit some balls. They said he was hitting one iron.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about a young man who's in his very early 20s. 2 years ago, his first year playing winter ball was the Rookie of the Year. And then last year was the most valuable player, and his team won the Caribbean World Series. He was the best player on the team at 22 years old.
So he's knocking.
Oh, yeah, he's knocking. So now Dickerson representing the tying run, 2 on, 1 out. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. And he's tardy on a fastball down a strike.
Might be a tardy on a 94 every now and then, you know. And I don't know how much Dickerson Chris has seen Mott, but I mean, here's a chance when he goes up there. You know, you want to turn it up in volume, but he threw a pretty good fastball.
Well, you know you're getting a fastball though.
Hernandez at second base. It's Francisco at first with 1 away. Good eye there. Didn't chase down and away to even the count.
Not a bad idea. It looked like it was a backdoor slider. Boy, and that is a great pitch. You can get a kid looking out there and then giving up on it, and it just sort of cuts in there. But this kid's got excellent stuff. And Chris could be a hero right now.
Chased a 94-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle of the plate, but up in the strike zone.
There's not enough of this upstairs, especially when you throw 90 plus, Chris. I mean, they just don't pitch upstairs.
Well, you know what? And guys are afraid to because they're afraid of giving up the long ball up there. But the problem is a lot of pitchers don't realize how tough it is to get a bat on a high fastball when you're throwing it that hard, especially on the inner part of the plate.
So if you just threw that pitch, would you not try to get it about 6 inches higher?
I would
try to
right
chase
up
it again?
the ladder.
Well, let's see if that what Molina has in mind here on the 2-2 to Dickerson. Foul away, another fastball. That one down in the zone.
Yeah, when you drop it down in the zone, you essentially speed up the batter's bat because it's a lot easier for him to drop that bat head down around the knees than it is to try to get that through the strike zone up around the letters.
Yeah, there's not that many Clementes and Manny Sanguians and Guerreros who go over the top and just are slashing. And that's when you got to get really, really loose with your hands. If you see a guy that's really stagnant with his hands that doesn't have a lot of movement, then he has trouble really getting up there on top of it.
2 on, 1 out. 2-2 on Dickerson.
Good swing. I mean, here's a count 2-2, and he's defensive right now, which is the best part of it. He knows he's got to protect the plate. That's a pretty good pitch right there.
So he dialed that one up at 97.
Reds down 3, 2 on, 1 out. Breaking ball got him.
Well, if that's the difference I just saw in 94, 97, and 82, you can see what might have happened, yeah. And this is a breaking pitch, actually, that moved away from him.
Yeah, you know, and he gives such a good effort to sell that as a fastball, too. I mean, he comes right at you in the same arm slot. He looks like it's a fastball. He dials it, goes from 97 to 82. That's almost unfair.
This becomes an extremely important at-bat in this game for the Reds, who are down 3. Their best hitter stands in the on-deck circle. And Dusty Baker and The 45,000 plus at Great American Ballpark would like nothing more than to give Votto a chance in this 7th inning. But for that to happen, Cabrera must keep the inning alive with 2 on and 2 out. Quickly behind strike 1.
Dug himself a big hole.
Votto has come to the plate today with 2 outs and nobody on. He had a single. 1 out, nobody on in the 4th. He homered and led off the 6th inning. Cabrera 0 for 3. 3 ground balls. 1 to second, a pair to short. And this one popped up and should end the inning. Schumacher called off by Mather, and that'll end the inning.
Enjoyed it, boys.
JB, great seeing you, buddy.
Great to see
Thanks
you,
for
Chris.
stopping up. The Hall of Famer, Johnny Bench, kind enough to join us for 3 innings here in the telecast today. We go to the St. Louis Cardinals. 3 times in his 9-year career, including unanimously last year, has been named the National League's most valuable player. And what a way to begin 2010. 3 hits and 4 at-bats. A single, a pair of home runs, and 3 RBIs. Changes for the Reds, trailing 6-3 at the end of 7. Moving from center field to left field, Chris Dickerson. Remaining in the game after a pinch hit single and a run scored in center field is Drew Stubbs. And one of the real surprises in camp this year, who went out and won a spot on this opening day roster, Logan Ondrusek out of the Reds bullpen, went from 3 different levels a season ago and was virtually unhittable at all 3 levels in the Reds minor league system last year. This is his major league debut.
He's a big kid, 6 feet 8 inches tall, comes from Shiner, Texas, and throws the ball downhill with authority.
Freese to lead it off, followed by Mather, and then back to the top of the order in Schumacher. Ondrusek just 25 years old. In fact, just turned 25 2 months ago. Flair into short right. Bruce is there, 1 away.
Well, he's an imposing guy to begin with. When you're 6 feet 8 inches tall and you throw as hard as Logan Ondrusek does, you can be imposing, but he comes right at you. Look at that long stride, and he gets way out over his front leg right here. And that's one reason why he's so close to the plate when he finally releases the ball. That if he's throwing 95, that has an effective, say, 99-mile-an-hour effect on the hitter. It's not exactly how hard you throw, but it's how hard you throw compared to how hard you look like you throw.
Mather is first at bat, down a strike. Ondrusek, drafted out of McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas. In 2005, a 13th round selection. And the Reds used him as a starter his first year of pro ball. They then moved him for the bullpen for the next 2 years, and then in 07 decided to make him a starter again. It did not go well. They put him back in the bullpen in 08, split time between Sarasota and Louisville, and then all of a sudden that proverbial light came on last year, and man, did it come on. Started the year at Sarasota in 13 games. In 18 2/3 innings, allowed 2 runs. Got bumped up to Carolina, a 1.6 ERA in 24 games there, including 7 saves. And then became the closer at Louisville to finish the year, 12 saves there, and a 1.7 ERA. He's retired the first 2 hitters of his major league career. We invite you to join the Reds this Sunday as they take on the Chicago Cubs. The first 20,000 fans in the gates receive a 2010 Reds magnetic schedule and logo car magnet, courtesy of PNC. Get tickets now by calling 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Those things are sweet. Those magnetic schedules.
I love those.
I like those car magnets too. But the magnetic schedules. Flip those babies on the fridge. You're dialed in.
How many do you have on your fridge?
Well, I don't have any yet.
I mean, do you normally have? Because they give them out every year.
Yeah, one's
enough.
Yeah. At my, I only have 1 fridge. You know, and that estate you live on there over in the Commonwealth.
Most of them are on the porch.
You said that, not me. I get all the hate mail from Kentucky. That was you, not me. Chris Welsh, Commonwealth resident. And get more details, MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Opening day, Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. The Reds down 3 as they bat in the bottom of the 8th. Against right-hander Kyle McClellan, who had an outstanding season out of the Cardinal pen in 2009. They'll face the heart of the order, Votto, Phillips, then Rolen. The Reds are hoping for a lot more than that. They scored a run to get within 3 in the 7th inning. They had 2 on with only 1 out, but Mott was able to strike out Chris Dickerson and got Cabrera on a pop-up into short right field. Votto is single, homered, and bounced out to the mound, and that didn't take long. 3 straight pitches.
Yeah, pretty good combination of pitches right there. 2 fastballs, bookends around a nice breaking ball in the middle. And McClellan was one of those young men that the Cardinals toyed with maybe making him the 5th starter this year. Then he looked around their bullpen and said, we need this guy too much in the pen. And he will be the #1 and primary setup guy to Brian Franklin, the closer. Good stuff. Hey, Reds fans, have some fun in the kitchen with family and friends this summer using JTM beef or chicken Philly kits or their beef hoagie kits. JTM, food, family, fun.
Brandon Phillips takes on the outside corner a strike, 1-1. A quiet day for Brandon, 0 for 3. Has bounced to second, struck out, and grounded out to Schumacher again his last time up. Well, that's a pretty good pitch right there. Right back again with a breaking ball that misses to Phillips. 2-2 to Brandon. Rolen waits on deck. Reds down 3 in the 8th. And the count is full on Phillips. And there's a 1-out walk. This 8th inning is certainly McClellan's inning. They have one other left-hander in their bullpen. They've used Dennis Reyes. They have Trevor Miller still down there. It is a bit surprising, and perhaps he got loose and maybe he shut it down. I did not see him getting warmed up. It is slightly surprising that Miller is not up and throwing in the Cardinal pen. I only bring it up because should Rolen reach, and while allowing Phillips to stay on base, of course, you would have left-handed batting Jay Bruce then coming up as the potential tying run.
I think he was up earlier in the, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, so he may not need a few more than just a few pitches to get ready.
Mm-hmm. One and 0 to Scott Rolen. Clearly McClellan, after dispensing of Votto on 3 pitches temporarily, has lost that pitch in the strike zone. Got ahead a couple of strikes on Phillips, wound up walking him, and now 1-0 on Rolen. There's a strike. Rolen didn't like it. The crowd thought it was low.
Yeah, I think he's getting also some barking out of the Reds dugout. Complaining perhaps on the inconsistency Riley has shown down around the knees today. I don't know if he's really been inconsistent or not. It looks like he's caught a pretty decent game, but you know, when you're in the dugout, the only thing you can see is north and south. You can't see inside or outside, so you're going to yell at the umpires because of the height of the pitch.
2-1 on Scott Rolen. Hard hit ball and right through the legs of Freese. So the tying run will be Jay Bruce coming to the plate. And we'll see if perhaps some maneuvering begins now with Yadier Molina stalling for a little time.
Well, that's the one thing that they're worried about here in St. Louis is the defense of their young third baseman David Freese. He can hit. There's no question about that. He's hit at every level. But whether he can play good enough defensively to be on a Tony La Russa team is yet to be shown.
Well, Molina will come trotting out of the dugout. it does not appear as though Miller is throwing in the pen. So McClellan will stay in there. Jay Bruce 1 for 3 in his career against McClellan. Bruce represents a tying run with 1 out in the 8th inning. Threw a fastball right down the can, and Bruce missed it. Jay has singled in 3 at-bats. Runners go, and a throw down to third. And if you're going to do it, you better know you can make it, and Phillips easily makes it. The trail runner does not run, so they're on the corners.
Phillips got a running lead right there. McClellan, the pitcher, never turned to second base. They never stopped him, so that's a free green light for a runner to go ahead and take third base. Roland did not get a jump, so he stayed at first.
1 ball and 1 strike on Jay Bruce. Runners on the corners. Breaking ball misses up and away. 2-1 to Bruce.
All right, so he's thrown him a fastball for a strike, threw it right by him. Has missed now with 2 breaking balls. If you're Jay Bruce and you're guessing with the pitcher, here comes another heater. Turn it up a notch.
2-1 delivery. It's on the way. It is a heater, and he takes a fastball right down the middle. Makes you wonder if Bruce wasn't guessing the other way.
You know, I think that may have been some kind of variation. Maybe in a cutter or a hard slider. It was only 90 miles an hour, but you'll see they had some break on it right there. Maybe that was just a 2-seamer.
2-2 to Bruce. Hit down the left field line and out of play. Bruce just protecting there. That pitch looked like it was on its way to the outside corner of the plate. Phillips stands at third. Scott rolling on at first. Reds down 6-3 in the 8th inning with 1 out. Just low and away. All right, Chris Welsh, you got to believe the young man throws fastball, doesn't he?
Well, you know what? He's got, that's his best pitch.
Well, we'll see. 3-2 on the way to Bruce. Struck him out on a fastball.
Wow. Well, he was late on both the fastballs that he saw in this at bat. You got to hand a little bit to McClellan. He's got nice movement on that pitch. 92 miles an hour out of his hand, 86 by the time it crossed the plate. And Bruce had a couple of heaters to turn on and was unable to catch up with either one.
2 away in the inning. Runners still stand at first and third, and now it's Drew Stubbs, who had a pinch hit single and scored an inning ago. We talked about Stubbs last year and the surprising power we saw from this young man once he was brought up to the major leagues. A Reds first-round pick in 2006. He had 8 home runs once he came to the big league club.
He led the team in home runs this spring as well, which is an unusual combination for a leadoff hitter.
Well, he's got to be looking 2-0 fastball here. When McClellan has been in a pinch, he has thrown the fastball. And that's a fastball that Stubbs takes down the middle of the plate.
Now that looked like without taking a look at the pitch tracks, I got to figure that was kind of low and away. That's a good job by Stubbs, not swinging at a pitch that is a pitcher's pitch on a 2-0 count.
2-1. 3-1. Ramon Hernandez next. Three balls, 1 strike on Stubbs. He jumped all over that fastball and rounds it foul. 3-2 now to Drew Stubbs.
You know, there's a time when he was a #1 draft pick out of the University of Texas that it seemed like you could knock the bat right out of his hand. But he is so physically matured in those last few years. I mean, this guy's a strong man at this point with a quick bat.
And unquestionably among the fastest players in the league. There are a lot of people that will tell you they're not sure there's ever been a player, with the exception of Deion Sanders, that has more pure speed than Drew Stubbs.
And you know he does it and doesn't appear to be running fast. He's one of those sneaky fast kind of runners where he runs so smoothly, you look up, all of a sudden he's crossing the back. He had numerous infield hits last year just on bounders to the shortstop who couldn't believe how quick he got down the line.
3-2 the count on Drew Stubbs, and here it comes. On the ground, and that's a diving play by Freese, and there's the speed of Stubbs. An infield hit. Freese did all he could, knowing how well Stubbs can run. And that's an infield hit for an RBI to make it a 6-4 game.
Well, on a ball club that is somewhat speed challenged, the Reds would love to have Drew Stubbs get hot and stay in the lineup consistently. A nice play by Freese right there. I don't know if you get anybody because the ball would have taken the first baseman off the bag anyhow, but Stubbs can pick him up and put him down.
Well, now Dave Duncan out to the mound. The Reds have the tying run at first base. They have the go-ahead run coming to the plate. Meeting is over, and here comes Ramon Hernandez, who has struck out, lined out to the warning track in left field, stranding 2, ending the 4th inning. And then drew a walk in the 7th. Hernandez settles in, Rolen and Stubbs aboard, and it's grounded foul. We talked about Hernandez hitting .328 with runners in scoring position a season ago, and how he loves shooting the ball into right. Albert Pujols is well aware of that. There's a breaking ball in there, strike. Pujols is playing about as far off the line as any first baseman you will see play at any time. Trying to take away that hole. In the air, left center field. Room out there for Holiday. Inning over. The Reds score 1, but strand 2. We march to the 9th, a 2-run game. from Colby Rasmus.
Well, that play right there and the error at first base for the runner at third that got away from Joey Votto, the pickoff throw by Aaron Harang, the difference in this ball game.
6 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for St. Louis. They've left 7 men on base.
Every time I see a Cardinal center fielder going over the fence to bring a home run back, of course, it reminds you of Jim Edmonds. And how many times did he do that to the Reds right here in this ballpark? And Colby Rasmus appears to have picked up right where Jim Edmonds left off.
Reds 4-8-1-7 on the totals, and here comes Nick Massett. With all the pub given to so many of the young pitchers in the Reds organization, Chapman, Leake, Wood, etc., Cueto, Bailey for that matter, the one guy that more scouts talked about during spring training this year than any other pitcher on this entire Red staff, at least that I heard about,
except for Aroldis Chapman,
was Nick Massett.
He's a closer in the making. I mean, he's got plenty of stuff. Mid-90s fastball. He's got 2 or 3 breaking balls. He's got good command, nice repeatable delivery. And at 27 years of age, they feel like he's beginning to peak. And this is one reason why the Reds are optimistic. I mean, the strength was in their bullpen last year. Their bullpen comes back intact, maybe even better than it was last year, especially if you look at an improvement out of Nick Massett.
Brendan Ryan to be followed by Albert Pujols, and then Matt Holliday if you're looking ahead of the Reds' 9th inning. They will have a pinch hitter for Massett, then Dickerson, then Cabrera, and hoping that Votto and even more than that get the opportunity to bat. And hoping, of course, the Reds still are down by 3 or 2, I beg your pardon, after scoring a run and drawing within a pair in the bottom of the 8th inning.
You see Albert Pujols taking a peek, that is, trying to get as good a look as he can from Massett as he gets out of the on-deck circle, kind of wanders right behind home plate to see if he can't learn something from the release point. Always trying to pick up an edge.
Well, Reds fans, come on down to Cadillac Ranch. It's Friday night at 6. Your chance to test your Reds knowledge and win some great prizes. Plus, you could end up on Reds Live after the game on Fox Sports Ohio. Be part of the fun at Cadillac Ranch. Well, not the idea if you're Massett to be walking anybody in front of Albert Pujols. Pujols 3 of 4. Has knocked in 3. Has hit a pair of home runs. And has scored 3 times. Having a hard time throwing strikes.
Now the reaction by Albert Pujols on this fastball, more high than inside. That ball just an inch or 2 off the dish. One thing the Reds have not done to Albert at all is try to get the ball inside on him.
3-0.
Got to throw it over.
Nearly an RBI per game in his career in this ballpark for Albert Pujols. Got a 3-0 green light, and why not?
I mean, you're guaranteed or nearly guaranteed to get a fastball on a 3-0 count. So if Albert Pujols knows what's coming, better be a good pitch.
3-1 on Albert Pujols. Runner at first, nobody out. And Masson ready. There goes a runner. And a bullet down the left field line. 4th hit of the game for Pujols. And he'll be held to a single. But with Ryan running on the 3-1 pitch, it's a base hit. And, you know, that's another thing that nobody ever talks about Pujols. And Tony La Russa will talk about it all the time. He said, you know, used to make me crazy. All these big sluggers in baseball, and they tell me, hey, look, I don't want you starting runners while I'm at the plate. And La Russa said years ago, he asked Pujols how he felt about it. Pujols said, you start runners anytime you want. It's not going to bother me one bit.
Well, you know, most of the guys who say they don't want it happening because it will distract them. I mean, that's how good his focus is. And that's the reason why he's better than everybody else.
Bouncer to short. Here comes the throw, and they have Ryan in a rundown. So Rolen, who tags him out. So that's a much-needed out, cutting down the lead runner, first out of the inning.
Ryan may be running on contact, as you see right there. As soon as the ball was batted, he's on his way to the plate, maybe taking his chance that the Reds are going to go for 2 right there. Runs into an out. Now a double play can get you out of the inning.
That'll bring up Colby Rasmus. Rasmus 1 for 3 in the game. Has walked, hit a solo home run to right back in the 4th inning. Bounced into a fielder's choice in the 5th and struck out against Daniel Ray Herrera in the 7th. Two on and 1 out. Rasmus waits. And a fastball is at the knees, a strike. Good block there by Hernandez, preventing the runners from advancing. Other numbers around baseball: Colorado in the 6th, a 4-1 lead over Milwaukee. The Mets pounding the Marlins in the 8th inning, 7-1. Philadelphia doing the same to Washington, 11-1 in the 9th. And the Pirates 8-5 leaders over the Dodgers. Base hit into left field. They are going to wave around the runner. Here comes the throw. Play is too high on the throw. Pujols scores, and Masson has given up a critical run here in the 9th inning again to make it a 3-run Cardinal lead.
The walk to start the inning is a bad thing, but I'll tell you, Chris Dickerson, if he's able to throw this ball down, even bounce it to the plate, you're going to have a play at the plate and probably be able to get Pujols to see rounds third. Pujols had gotten nowhere near third base by the time that Dickerson had the ball, and just a ball down and anywhere near home, and you've got yourself an out at the dish. As it was, he comes in, overthrows a cutoff man, and overthrows the catcher.
Felipe Lopez will bat for Kyle McClellan. McClellan gives up an unearned run, his only inning of work. Lopez will promptly be intentionally walked to load the bases for Yadier Molina. That'll be a single. And there has to be a throwing error charged to Dickerson. I mean, because the runner at first base, are they going to say he advanced on the throw to the plate?
I would imagine.
All right. Well, he had time, as you pointed out, Chris, to throw out Pujols.
Well, you see Pujols is 2 steps from third by the time he gets to the ball. By the time he releases it, he's at the bag. And you can see that he'd be out by a good 3 steps had the ball been in the vicinity. That's one of those plays where it didn't have to be a perfect throw, just somewhere around the dish to give your catcher a chance.
So now Yadier Molina. Drives one into right field. Chasing Bruce back to the wall. And it is gone. A grand slam the other way off the bat of Yadier Molina. And that will break this one wide open, with the Cardinals now leading 11-4. And Massett has come into this game and given up 5 runs before getting a second out.
Well, this ball didn't look like it was struck all that well, but it just kept carrying and carrying the short porch and right. And Jay Bruce goes back on it and just runs out of room. Our Exmo look at that swing by Yadi Molina, a guy that has not played in a game since March the 24th. Deemed himself ready to go here in the opener, and Tony La Russa is glad he did.
A 5-spot in the Cardinal 9th inning after the Reds had just scored in the bottom of the 7th, in the bottom of the 8th, to draw within 2. And many in this sellout crowd making their way to the exits. Aaron Harang went the front 5, allowed 4 runs, 3 of them earned. A critical throwing error by Harang with runners on the corners and 2 men out with 2 strikes on the batter at the time. Back in the 5th inning, allowed the Cardinals to push their lead from 3-2 to 4-2. Nice running grab there by Bruce for out number 2. And then Mike Lincoln, in his only inning of work, allowed 4 hits and a couple of more runs. And after excellent work from Herrera and Andrusik, Massett has given up 5 here in the 9th. Now Mather for the second time. He fouled out. To Votto, his only time up. For Yadier Molina, that's the first grand slam in his major league career.
Tom, want to send out our best wishes to a good friend and fellow worker of ours, Jeff Gardner, who is up at North Bethesda Hospital, hopefully recovering, and hope you're doing all right, Jeff. We're all thinking about you down here at the ballpark. We miss you, and we send you our love and best wishes up there to you.
We certainly do. Just saw him last week down here at the ballpark on Thursday morning and wasn't feeling well, and our thoughts and prayers and best wishes are indeed with you, Jeff. Swing and a miss by Mather, and that will end the inning. But a rough debut in this 2010 year for Massett. He gives up 5, and the Cardinal lead is 7. At least to this point, that the Reds had in mind, trailing 11-4. Ryan Franklin was already up, loose, ready to go, so their closer will pitch on opening day. Despite it obviously not being a safe situation, Franklin had a superb season a year ago.
Well, he saved 38 games last year, Ryan Franklin did. Had a 1.9 earned run average, 4-3 record overall. And you may remember the brief time that he spent as a Cincinnati Red back in 2006. That year he came over from Philadelphia, pitched 20 games for the Reds, was 5-2 with a 4.5 earned run average. But boy, when he went to St. Louis, something happened to him. His light went on, and the earned run average dropped, and he has become the closer here the last 2 years, and a good one for the Cardinals.
Johnny Gomes going to come off the Reds bench and bat for Nick Massett, who goes an inning, allows 3 hits, walks 2, 1 intentionally, and gives up 5 earned runs. I'd like to thank the producer of Reds Baseball, Christian Roberts, our director, Roy Alfers, our associate producers, Matt Sigafus and Lauren White, our pregame show producer, Kent Weaver, our coordinating producer at Fox Sports Ohio, Doug Johnson, and our executive producer, Tom Farmer. As always, we thank Mark Wagner on stats, the Reverend Jesse Jackson up here in the booth with us, and our entire crew, opening day 2010. Foul ground, Pools squeezes it tightly. 1 away.
Tom, also want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the family of Matt James, the young man from St. Xavier High School who was tragically died in an accident down in Panama City during spring break. Hope that the St. X family can give all the love and support they need to the James family. Just a tragic event that our hearts go out to all of you folks.
You know, I had a chance yesterday at church to see Jack Cassidy, who of course is the CEO of Cincinnati Bell, and his son has gone through all 4 years with Matt James together. Both play football every year out for the St. X Bombers. With Matt James, very close friends, and Jack provided air transportation, I know, for the James family to get down to Florida. And I know so many here in Cincinnati, you know, your heart bleeds if you're a parent, even if you're not a parent, but if you're a parent, we'll be thinking about those folks for a long, long time. Base hit into center field by Dickerson. I know that story in the paper about Luke Massa, of course, the quarterback there for St. X, who apparently was Matt's best friends, one of his best friends, and was down there in Florida with him. And naturally having just a very tough time, as is everybody, after we heard about that news. For those watching in Reds country that don't know, is an All-American offensive lineman who had committed to play collegiately beginning this fall for Notre Dame and lost his life falling from a balcony over the weekend while on spring break at a hotel. Reds are down to their final out as Cabrera finishes his Reds debut, hitless in 5 at-bats. So a beautiful day, gone awry as far as the results are concerned, but you know, when you win them, you feel great. When you lose them, you say it's only one game.
You play 162 of them, and you're not going to win them all. You know, you're going to lose a third of them, and you're going to win a third of them. It's what you do in the other third that counts. And we'll put this one in the loss column and come back and get them on Wednesday.
And that is correct. There is a day off tomorrow, and then it's opening night here at Great American Ballpark. That'll be on Wednesday. Plenty of tickets are available. Come on down. As Votto collects his 3rd hit of the afternoon, which sends Dickerson on to third base. pair of singles and a home run. In the Game 2 matchup, the Reds will start Johnny Cueto, I think, which came as an unbelievable surprise to so many of us. And it was not Bronson Arroyo. Heck, most people felt like Bronson Arroyo should have been starting on opening day after winning 15 games at a 3.8 ERA a season ago.
And I think they've got Bronson Arroyo scheduled to start on Thursday.
Right.
Is that not? And, you know, historically, Arroyo, if he were given the decision, he would rather start a night game than a day game anyway. That Thursday, of course, being a businessman special, 12:30 start. But you got to run them out there when their term comes up.
Straight away center field. This one will sail over the head of Rasmus and will score a couple of runs. And that'll make it an 11-6 game on a 2-run double by Brandon Phillips. I tell you, baseball's a funny game, boy. You know, and you can say, well, they're getting these runs after really the decision is all but in hand. But baseball, though, it'll twist you upside down and turn you inside out. Most people feel like pitching is the name of the game for the Reds on a day where they allow 11, and that the offense might struggle from time to time, and here they have 6 runs.
Well, at the very least, you're more players up to face the Cardinal closer. You know, it's so you become familiar with him, you see his stuff, so that when you do face him, and if it's a tighter ball game and you've got a chance to break the game open, you have had a little bit of experience, something to draw on.
Been a good start to this season today for Scott Rowland. A home run. Hit the ball very hard in the 8th inning. An error committed on that play by Freese, so it's 1 for 4 overall for Rowland. Foul out of play. The Cubs have jumped on Derek Lowe in the 1st inning down at Turner Field in Atlanta. Season opener for both of those clubs. 3-0 Chicago, still batting in the opening inning. Carlos Zambrano starts that game for the Cubs, and we figure we'll see him on Saturday over the weekend. One and 2 to Rowland. Told you about Johnny Cueto starting Wednesday for the Reds. He'll be opposed by Adam Wainwright, a 19-game winner last year. Then Arroyo, who won 15, will go up against right-hander Brad Penny, trying to resurrect his career in a Cardinal uniform under Dave Duncan this season. Then the Cubbies come to town over the weekend. Homer Bailey on Friday night against Carlos Silva. And then, as we mentioned, Saturday, Aaron Harang will come back, more than likely against Zambrano. And then on Sunday, we figure to see Mike Leake against the 5th starter in the Cubs rotation. Leake will make his major league debut on Sunday, at least right now. Back to the mound, and this ought to do it. It will. So an opening day win for the reigning Central Division champions, led by who else? Albert Pujols. He has 4 hits, drives in 3, hits a pair of home runs. 11 runs, 12 hits for St. Louis, 6 runs, 11 hits for the Reds. As the Reds score 4 in their last 3 at-bats, but come up 5 short. So not what you wanted, Chris, but you move on.